Hey, I'm Justin Willis.
With news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks, and always streaming at KMJNow.com. I'm Liz Kern, News Talk 580, 1059 KMJ.
Selma Swap, buy or sell cars, parts, and big boy toys. March 18th, Highway 99 at Mountain View, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., rain or shine. SelmaSwap.com.
Now, KMJ's Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson.
205, News Talk 580, 1059 KMJ. Good afternoon, and welcome to the all-new Afternoon Drive. E, welcome.
Hey, I'd be a liar if I didn't say that that last little piece of audio was music to my ears.
I am both relieved at the speed with which the corporate suits made this happen, and slightly aggrieved that it didn't happen quicker. But I'm really glad that you were here, man.
Well, we're finally here. Everything else is water over the dam, so who cares? Away we go. Nothing but forward motion now, buddy.
Exactly right. Hey, we got a new buzz question for you, KMJNow.com. And by the way, the buzz question is sponsored by the Boz Allergy, Asthma, and Sinus Centers. We will dig into this deeper later on in the program, but I'll put it out there now. Joe Rogan and one of his guests were commenting on Fresno and the homelessness crisis as it is here. Was it insulting? Were they right on? Or do you not care? Let us know what you think. You can answer the buzz question at KMJNow.com. Again, that's sponsored by the Boz Allergy, Asthma, and Sinus Centers. Did you hear what Rogan had to say over the weekend?
I did, and I disagree with our mayor.
Really?
Yeah. You kill him with kindness. If I were the mayor of Fresno, heaven forbid, I'd be sending him boxes of figs. I'd be sending him produce like crazy. We have so many positive things. But to just attack it for just an offhanded comment, wrong approach. Just going to say it. First day on the gig. Wrong approach, Mayor.
I think here is why I am going to argue in favor of the way that Mayor Dyer came at this. If you didn't see, it was a short thread. He posts 3 tweets at Joe Rogan saying, I would generally chalk your podcast comments as being a misinformed critic. However, as the mayor and the former police chief, I feel the need to respond. I'm not sure when you last visited Fresno, but over the past 2 years, we've housed 1,700 homeless. It's made a significant reduction in our unsheltered population. What have you done to make our country better? I'll make you a deal. I won't tell you how to announce MMA fights or how to do a podcast if you won't tell us as a city how to deal with our homelessness. I think that Mayor Dyer had to say something because Fresno has 2 habits that required something. One, every time anybody in the national media says the word Fresno, it doesn't matter the context, it's in the local news for 2 days. If Russell Brand just dropped Fresno as a pejorative a la MTV and the That's So Fresno debacle of 1998, it's going to be in the local news for 2 days.
Sure.
The other thing is Mayor Dyer's got to fight that uphill battle against, and as a transplant, you know what I'm talking about. This city has the weirdest self-imposed civic inferiority complex of any place I've ever been.
Yes, so embrace it. It's not that there shouldn't have been a reply. Of course there should have been a reply. Of course Joe Rogan is dead wrong. But I'm sorry, Mayor Dyer, you didn't respond as the mayor of Fresno. You responded, by the way, my first show may be my last, I guess. But I'm sorry, Mayor Dyer, you responded like a cop.
You know what I think he should do? Because I think Rogan will respond to this. You've got the mayor of the, what are we? We're the 3rd largest city inside the world's 4th largest economy. Joe Rogan knows Fresno. He's going to respond. When he responds, Mayor Dyer has the trump card.
How do you figure?
Challenge him to an arm wrestling match.
Well, that would work. I like that. That's good.
Jerry Dyer, I have no doubt in my mind, Jerry Dyer can beat Joe Rogan in a straight-up arm wrestling match.
It's okay to disagree with somebody who insults your city. In fact, you should disagree.
Yeah.
But it's how you do it. To insult him and say, well, what have you done for the world? Okay, now that's just a fight rather than a conversation. Now we've got to end the fight before we can have an actual conversation about what a wonderful place Fresno really is.
I've got to listen back to the audio because I cannot remember if it was Rogan or his guest who really threw down with the "you wouldn't be the same if you grew up in Fresno" line. But that was the part that stuck with me. That was the part that got my eyebrow up because it was such a it was a damning line from somebody who has apparently only seen William Saroyan Theater and G Street.
If we all grew up and we all had a good school to go to with good education and nice teachers that cared, but that's not everybody's experience. And until we can fix that, you're never going to fix this homeless problem.
Like, was lucky to grow up. I grew up in New York City, great parents, whatever. But then I just had a show in Fresno a couple of days ago, and I said, if I grew up here, I'd be a little different.
Okay, I just want to stop on that for a minute. I was lucky to grow up in New York City. If I'd grown up in Fresno, I'd be a little different.
Yeah, no problems in New York City.
Oh, yeah, and they've got homelessness licked.
No,
up here.
Yeah, no rats or anything like that in New York.
Up here, I'd be a little different.
You'd be a lot
because
different.
Fresno is one of those places where I went a great time, but I mean, those just being there, being in that city for 24 hours, I was like, I don't know if this was my every single day. You might turn to drugs. It's
depressing.
It's depressing. I drove from Fresno to San Jose, and we were passing through Stockton, and I thought I was in Switzerland because that's what an upgrade it was from Fresno. I was like, what are we in the Alps?
Bro, I was driving through a street in Fresno, and people were walking out in the middle of the street like, what are you doing driving here?
Yeah.
Like, I went down a wrong area where it's mostly homeless people.
Yeah.
Street.
Oh, no. That the Fresno Skid Row that I saw was the one, I think, the worst I've ever seen. I'm sorry, no, was it? Yeah, it was San Jose, I should say. San Jose.
So this guy backs off, and because I was going to say, you made the transition from Fresno to San Jose. The bad part of San Jose makes the bad part of Fresno look like playland at McDonald's.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, what was it rude? Was it misinformed? Yes, it was. But I go back to what I said earlier. Now we've got to end the fight before we can have the conversation. Because when you return a punch with a punch, you got to fight. We didn't have to fight. We could have had public relations.
I think we can still have public relations, if only because Rogan's the kind of cat. Because the guy's, he's got the ego that anybody who wants to get famous and who wants to be the center of attention has. But I don't think that he has, based on the podcast that I've heard him do and the comments that I've heard him make in response to pushback, I don't think he's got the vanity to assume he's always correct. He knows he's not the smartest guy in the room.
And he's a comedian.
Oh, yeah. I think the mayor needs to challenge him to an arm wrestling match.
I love it.
If you're going to talk about Fresno, you got to say nice stuff.
We can call play-by-play on the arm wrestling match. But see, again, that's public relations. Let's do public relations now.
And the opportunity's there, but the way that they're talking about Fresno and that narrow little piece of town that they're talking about, because you know that neither one of them, what's Rogan talked about? Homeless on G Street, Chef Paul's Kitchen, and the shows he's done in town. Joe Rogan's never done the Save Mart Center. All he has seen of Fresno is this 2 square mile radius and whatever he sees going in and out of the airport.
Yeah, every town's got a bad street or two. Shoot, I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota 7 days ago. I saw areas in Minneapolis just as bad as what you would see in Fresno or San Jose or Stockton, for crying out loud.
I'm sure there isn't a place in this country. I mean, aside from Lincoln, Montana, where there's only 600 people to start with, there isn't a place in this country of any size where there isn't a rough neighborhood. If Joe Rogan, if his only impression of Fresno had been the West Shaw Piccadilly and the Van Ness extension and what you see between there and the Save Mart Center, it's a completely different city.
Absolutely.
490-5858. We got a lot of folks checking in to talk about this. We'll start with Pam. Welcome to KMJ, Pam.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Doing well. What's your thought on Rogan versus Dyer?
Well, I missed that part of it because I was getting out of the car and came in the house, but I had an interesting viewpoint on homelessness in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I was traveling from Arkansas back to California, or vice versa, and they had these signs on the light standards. and it said, dial 611 if you see a homeless person in need, or if you're in need and you need help. And it was funny because we were watching that news that night, and they said, please stop calling the 611 number. Overwhelmingly, no one wants help.
Well, Pam, I think that you've hit on one of the problems with homelessness. There are a whole bunch of people that are on the street that desperately want something other than what they've got. Nobody wants to sleep in their own filth. Nobody wants to sleep on the sidewalk and get stared at by strangers. But as far as overwhelming a system with efforts to help, what else do you do? Because just handing cash out to the panhandlers hasn't solved it. And that's something that we started to edge into here in Fresno. I don't know if you remember, I think it was the year before the pandemic hit. Councilmember Bredefeld kind of led the charge on this. And it was those signs, don't give cash to panhandlers. If you'd like to help, go to, and they had some short URL to donate to the service agencies in Fresno. If these people aren't taking help, they're not homeless. They don't need help. They're criminal vagrants, and they need to be shown the door, so to speak. What's your feeling on that? Is there a divide in your mind between homeless and vagrant?
Yes, absolutely. There is. And I've worked in 3 locations in downtown Fresno and 1 in the Tower District, right off of Olive, which is the thoroughfare. Homeless people come down Blackstone, they come down Olive, then they hit downtown Fresno. I've had many conversations with homeless people. Many of them are there because of mental illness. Some are there because of drug addiction, alcohol addiction. Some just got a bad break. But there are some who chose that lifestyle. There are some, not the majority. Are we ever going to solve homelessness? No. Can we mitigate it? Yes. Can we provide shelters for people who got a bad break? Yes. Can we do something about it? Absolutely. But to say that, Fresno is going to be some shining city on a hill. No city is going to be a shining city on a hill and completely avoid homelessness. There's always going to be some of it.
The only total solution to homelessness, some people call it the humanist approach to homelessness. If you've got somebody who's mentally ill, or they're a drug addict, or they're simply lacking the skills to care for themselves, you give them cradle to grave care. The other word for that is fascism. It's that or Darwinism. The middle ground has over and over again shown us that the middle ground doesn't solve homelessness. If anything, it grows it. We got more calls coming in. Scott, Tracy, we'll talk to you guys in just a minute. That's E. Curtis Johnson. I'm Philip Teresi. This is your afternoon drive on KMJ.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
It's Chris Daniel for Unwired Broadband. Still living in the country for 14 years with Unwired. Why would I leave? Why would I not avail myself to the service you could get in the cities that isn't provided to people who choose to live in the country? Why would I put myself through sketchy satellite service? Why would I put myself through gouging rates just because they could get a signal to my house from space? I never wanted satellite internet anyway, and Unwired isn't. I get unlimited data, guaranteed speeds, it's great for streaming and gaming, and it's all fast, affordable, and reliable. And none of those stinking hidden fees either. Don't get held hostage by people who think and act like you don't have a choice in internet service if you choose to live somewhere out there. And it's more than just my house. What about your farm? What about your enterprise? What about your job that depends on ag? Unwired checks all the boxes. Unwired Broadband. Call 559-261-4444 or go to getunwired.com. Get Unwired.
In order for small businesses to thrive, they need to be smart, efficient, agile, staying ahead of the market at every turn, and finding ways to do more with less. That's never been more important than it is right now. So for a limited time, Comcast Business is introducing small business savings. a deal for companies across the country. When you call in now, you can get powerful internet for just $39 a month for 12 months. $39 a month, with no annual contract and a money-back guarantee. All on the largest, fastest, reliable network for small businesses, with the company that powers more businesses than anyone else. So if you're a small business owner, don't wait. Call and get started today. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Offer ends 3/21/23. Restrictions apply. New Comcast Business 50 megabits per second internet customers only. Requires EcoBill and autopay. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Call or go online for details. After promo, regular rates apply.
Today on Hey Culligan, reverse to reduce. Here's Bob.
Hey Culligan, I love fresh water, but I got plastic bottles coming out.
Whoa, Bob, you are not kidding about the bottles. But did you know Culligan's reverse osmosis and always-on drinking water systems provide fresh, clean, delicious drinking water and help reduce the equivalent of over 15 billion plastic bottles from landfills worldwide?
Holy, fresh, environmentally friendly drinking water. Am I right?
Right, Bob. And we're already on the way.
Receive a free in-home water test by visiting CulliganFresnoLindsay.com.
Have you ever tried to look 10 or 20 years in your future? Jobs, family, and goals change. You need to create a plan for retirement thoughtfully, professionally, and personally. You can count on me to craft a plan that is right for you to work towards a secure retirement. You can reach me, Tom Diaz, by phone at 559-878-4623. Give me a call and we can talk through your financial goals and answer any questions you may have.
Thomas Diaz is a registered representative with, and securities and advisory services are offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Industrial Cooling Engineers recognizes that a farmer's hard work and worry never ends. After they harvest their fresh fruits, vegetables, and meat products, that harvest goes into cold storage for future sales. The industrial refrigeration companies manage the safekeeping of this precious and perishable commodity. Yet sometimes the equipment fails. Who can they call? Industrial Cooling Engineers. Industrial Cooling Engineers, also known as ICE, specialize in the construction, servicing, and 24/7 care of ammonia and Freon cooling systems, plus industrial chillers, HVAC for ag, wine, berries, and more. With over 20 years of working experience, ICE and their team of professionals can save crops, meats, and other produce in storage from any damage due to machinery malfunction. They're local and technician-owned. Call them for replacement parts. Se habla español. Visit them at industrialcoolingengineers.com or give them a call at 559-549-4605. That's 559-549-4605. Industrial Cooling Engineers. ICE has you covered.
.1059 580 KMJ. It's the new afternoon drive with Philip Teresi, his name over there. And I'm not sure what my name is. My goodness, what a way to start the second break. My name is E. Curtis Johnson. So we've been talking about Joe Rogan's comment. Philip and I have had somewhat of a disagreement, but that's okay. It makes for an interesting discussion. I disagree with Mayor Dyer's way that he responded to Joe Rogan. Did Joe Rogan's comment need to be addressed? Absolutely. But don't start a fight. Start a conversation.
So going back to my thought on a sort of ambivalence to the mayor's response, Joe Rogan dropped a line somewhere back in the era of the ivermectin debate. Remember when that was going to save us all from COVID-19? And you had one side screaming, "Oh my God, stop eating horse dewormer. That's actually kind of not good for you." And the other side saying, "Well, since I can't get hydroxychloroquine, I'm going to eat all of this. So I'm going to the farm store to get a tube of cow dewormer." And Rogan, being Rogan, had one of these doctors on that was going against the consensus. And he got heat for it. But he said something really, really important responding to that heat.
I'm not a doctor. I'm a moron. And I'm a cage fighting commentator who's a dirty stand-up comedian. I'm not a respected source of information, even for me.
There you have it. He's saying what he is. He owns it. He owns it.
And that's what I was talking about earlier is I don't think that, he's got the ego of anybody driven to pursue the spotlight. I don't think he has vanity about his insight into any particular thing, unless you're going to talk about like MDMA or something like that. Then he's probably the authority.
He's the kind of guy that you can have an interesting conversation with and a substantive conversation with about a great number of things.
Yes, and at the end of it, walk away feeling good because you know the guy you talk to knows that he's full of it too.
Yeah, you can walk away as friends rather than enemies.
Scott's on the phone at 490-5858. Welcome to KMJ, sir.
Yeah, hi, Phil. Yeah, I remember when it was you and Skip, and you guys were talking about Joe Rogan, and kind of adding into that, yeah, he's a moron part of it. And I was waiting for you guys to actually apologize to him, but now I see why you wouldn't do it, because he's really, he's ripped on your town and everything. And I always wondered about that. I always thought, hey, you guys kind of owe him an apology, because they came out with the doctors that actually were prescribing that, and it was a real thing. And I don't know.
Oh yeah, there were doctors. There were absolutely doctors prescribing it, but I stand by what I said about ivermectin. Yes, there's an application for it in people, but it's not an antiviral medication.
No.
And that's where, Scott, I appreciate the callback on that, because I don't hate Joe Rogan. I do think that Joe Rogan needs to preface every show with that audio that I just played. So when he brings in the doctor who's going against the consensus, people understand that it's an entertainment product, not an informational product.
And Joe Rogan is doing what the three of us are doing right now. We're stating an opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lest anybody ever be of the mistaken idea that I know what I'm talking about. E can verify I literally just wandered in one day and never left.
True that.
490-5858. Tracy's next. Tracy, you live near Stockton. Is it beautiful? Is it Switzerland-like?
Yeah, it's really Switzerland underneath the freeways and the off-ramps. It's just beautiful. It's like the Alps down there, where things catch on fire every night. And I remember a guy that had a tree house or something up in the air. The fire department had to go and put out the flames and the smoke that you could see from the freeway. And he was living in basically in the best of conditions. So I think what happened was, and of course we've got to do the tongue in cheek here, just in case anybody's out there in your 50,000 watt blowtorch is getting the wrong idea. Stockton is not any place in parts of it is not any place to go to. And I know San Jose. I go to San Jose. I can take the guy who was talking with Rogan. If he wants to go down there and fly in, I can take him to areas that would make Fresno look like Disneyland. So if he wants to go down that road about Switzerland and Disneyland, we can go that way. So I think where Mayor Dyer got tripped up was the fact that, he basically, Rogan, or the guy that was with Rogan, basically got under his skin. And I think that's really what happened there. I think I can't speak for the mayor, but I would surmise that his plan is, I want to get this housing situation under control and take the next step, that if you do not want to accept this housing, then I'm either going to push you out, or I'm going to figure out a way to go to the state and tell them that these people need to be incarcerated for the ones, or involuntarily committed or whatever, to get out of these problems. So it's a two-step plan. I don't know if the state's going to buy into it. I don't know if the state actually has the wherewithal to do it, because too many of these mayors in the Democratic liberal cities want everybody to do whatever they want to do out on the streets until it ends up on their block down in Saratoga. All of a sudden, then it's a problem when it's in Palo Alto and people are hanging out there. And I'm not talking about, I know you come from that area, Philip. I'm talking about the higher mucky mucks. All of a sudden it comes down their street and they don't want it. I don't want it on my street to begin with. I admit it. I don't want that stuff coming there. I want them to come up with a plan to help people.
Well, that's why
if they don't want to be helped, I want them out.
Well, and I think that Mayor Dyer, given the constraints that he's got to work with, as far as what he's doing, the efforts that he's making to deal with homelessness, he's on the right track. Mayor Dyer doesn't have the financial ability to follow the Palo Alto, Mountain View, Los Altos approach, which was to harvest all of their kidneys and hide the bodies.
Oh my gosh, I just laughed at that. Wow.
Now, look, there's any city of any size is going to have a number of homeless people in it. There is no such thing as a perfect solution, not in the society that we exist in. Mayor Dyer, I take his side. we've worked too hard. He's worked too hard to have the goofball MMA commentator just slam Fresno like the whole thing is a slum. I agree. The G Street is a mess. It looks like the worst imaginings of Skid Row. That's not all of Fresno.
Well, and the mayor is also right in that you have a population that has made bad decisions in many cases. Many homeless people are there because of mental illness and bad decisions. And you do have to take a bit of a tough guy approach and say, look, these are your options. You're going to have to take one of them. All of the options, rather than staying there, are good options. I support the mayor on that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm just every time I hear a Joe Rogan controversy, because God, he's good at getting people's attention. He's the best right now.
It's his job. He's doing his job.
Joe Rogan has replaced Howard as that kind of king of all media. No matter what he says, once a week, there's going to be a kerfuffle. The difference is Howard always portrayed it as, well, I intentionally manipulated all of you into talking about it. Rogan drops this.
I'm not a respected source of information, even for me.
Yeah, even for me. Great line.
It's news time now. Here is Liz Kern in the KMJ Newsroom.
KMJ News now.
California is cutting ties with the nation's second largest pharmacy. Today, Governor Gavin Newsom tweeting that California will not be doing business with Walgreens, saying, "We're done." Walgreens will not distribute the abortion pill in states that threaten legal action, saying they just don't want to get involved. A letter was sent by 21 conservative-led states threatening lawsuits against Walgreens under a Civil War-era law if they provide the abortion drug mifepristone as allowed by the federal government. The Comstock Act from 1873 prohibits the mailing of any substance that can cause an abortion. On Twitter today, Newsom says the state won't do business with any company that, quote, cowers to the extremists and put women's lives at risk, end quote. In Southern California, residents remain snowed in parts of San Bernardino County.
Frustration hitting a boiling point in the San Bernardino County mountains following the start of what's been called a once-in-a-generation storm. Running Springs resident Janelle Hendrickson says she needs to get to work to feed her kids.
I was told if I do go down to work, most likely I won't be able to come home for a couple days, up to 2 weeks.
Food drop-offs that they have had are in certain areas, and we're actually 6 miles away from that.
Lake Arrowhead resident Carol Klovicki says her husband and neighbors are all elderly. During a typical storm, they'd hire a private contractor to plow their roads, but this time, not possible.
It was too much for the regular guy to get through.
That was Fox 11's Christina Pachucci. Some residents have been cut off for more than 10 days, running low on food and medicine. After more than 40 years, Mel Brooks is back with more of the world's history.
Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 2 begins streaming on Hulu. The 96-year-old comedian's follow-up to his original Part 1 takes on what the title alludes to, moments in our history from a perspective that only Brooks could bring. Like when Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone.
Who is this? Your mama. If you're my mother, what is your last name? Bell. That's my mother. That confirms it.
With a cast that only a legendary performer could call on. The series also stars Jack Black, Quinta Brunson, Sarah Silverman, J.B. Smoove, Johnny Knoxville, and more. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
On Wall Street, the Dow ended up 40 points, closing at 33,431. The S&P 500 added 2 points. NASDAQ dropped 13. 2:33 right now at KMJ. Valley weather, sunny, 56 at Radio City. Fox 26's Justin Willis has more of our Monday forecast.
We've got another atmospheric river headed our way later this week. Heavy rain expected on the valley floor Friday, along with rapid snowmelt in the Sierra, leading to a threat of flooding Thursday night through Saturday. And that's for the foothills and mountains below 8,000 feet. Until then, a little break from the rain for a couple of days. Mostly sunny with afternoon highs in the mid to upper 50s through Thursday, still below normal. Overnight lows are in the mid-30s. For KMJ, from the Fox 26 Weather Center, I'm Justin Willis.
With news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks, and always streaming at KMJNow.com. I'm Liz Kern, News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com, and I sell custom blinds designed for do-it-yourselfers. Unlike stock blinds offered at big box retailers, Blindster blinds are custom made for your windows and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Are you like me? You like to play around with your truck or your Jeep? Whether that vehicle is just a toy or maybe it's your office, it's your work. That's how you make your living because of your truck. Every single need you have with that vehicle is met by the Noble Brothers Truck Accessory Center. Yeah, me, Ray Appleton. I'm talking about this great company that I have been involved with for a couple of decades now. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many different dealerships here in Central California have used the Noble Brothers for years to finish their trucks. But you want to finish that after-purchase build-out? Your partner on that one has to be the Noble Brothers Truck Accessory Centers. Two of them, one out in Sunnyside, the other at Blackstone and Sierra. Hey, you got a fifth wheel? You need the Noble Brothers. They have gooseneck hitches, and yes, they have B&W. You need a bed liner? A ladder rack? You have a Jeep Wrangler like me. You want to lift it? Big tires, wheels, all kinds of lights. For 42 years, it's the Noble Brothers Truck Accessory Centers.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Hiring heating up? Indeed's hiring platform makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates all in one place. Sponsor a post and instantly receive a short list of quality candidates on Indeed whose resumes match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Call All-Britain now for your $129 complete furnace revitalization. Makes your heater blow like it's young again. Online at allbritain.com.
Commercial Radiator, your full-service repair shop for large industrial radiators, ag equipment, or to keep your fleet on the road. That's Commercial Radiator.
NEM 3.0 is on the horizon, and change is coming. Call Solar Negotiators today to find out how you can lock in your savings under California's current solar policy. Speak with a consultant today to get pre-qualified for a zero-down, low-interest rate loan and go 18 months with no payments. Go solar with confidence through Solar Negotiators, your lifetime energy partner. To learn more about NEM 3.0 or to get a free quote, visit solarnegotiators.com.
KMJ's Afternoon Drive continues right now. Here's Philip and E.
Coming up. Go ahead.
Hey, we're not even in an hour into the news partnership, and we're already walking over the talk of each other. We've got promise, my brother. We got promise. It's News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. That's Philip Teresi. I'm E. Curtis Johnson, the new guy, and happy to be here.
Really pleased to have you in. And for those of you that have been kind of following the process of finding a new co-host for the Afternoon Drive, you know this has been going on since Veterans Day. And we had some really cool folks come in and be a part of trying to find the right fit. And the timing worked out really, really good for me. Wasn't such an awesome transition for you, unfortunately, but the timing worked out great for me because bumped into you. I think it was the first time you and I had talked since the movie premiered at the Tower Theater.
At least, yeah.
And
November 18th.
Yeah.
No, January 18th. January 18th is what it was.
Yeah. And had a pleasant conversation and figured that would probably be our in-person conversation for the decade. And later that night, it was, "Hey, can you send me that link?" So I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did. But it was an interesting process to get here.
Well, it was, and actually, if you think about it, it's been a 22-year process. Philip and I are Old friends. We've known each other for a long, long time.
1997.
97. Okay, even longer.
April of 1997. Yeah, that was my brilliant plan to do something after high school. I used to call and harass this morning show host you guys might remember named Chris Daniel. And he yelled at me one day because I tried to convince him that they were using Hanoi Hilton squat boxes to discipline students at Gateway. I don't remember exactly how the call ended, but it was something to the effect of Jennifer teasing him for believing my nonsense and him telling me that if I was going to be a pain, I should at least be showing up and making coffee. So I showed up the next morning, and this was in my 17-year-old brain. Well, this was the biggest morning show in Central California. These guys have to be getting there hours ahead of time to prepare to do this thing. So I showed up outside the rock station at 4 a.m.
About 2.5 hours too early.
So the morning show was scheduled to start at 6, and at 6:05, I saw Chris's car come bouncing into the parking lot.
That's one of the days he showed up early.
And flagged him down, and honest to God, he brought me into the studio, and I don't remember why, but Jennifer wasn't there that day. It was just him and Dano. And I sat in the corner of the studio because he's like, sit down, shut up, don't make noise. If you've got a pager, turn it off. And so I sat there and just watched these guys doing their thing. I think he forgot I was there. Because it was like 2.5, 3 hours before he acknowledged me again. And then it was like, oh, do you want a cup of coffee or something?
And here we are.
Yeah. 10 o'clock that morning, he introduced me to you and off to the races. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful to have you here now because this is a lot of fun. I think this is going to be a good fit.
Well, for what it's worth, Chris used to sell me hard on a lot of things, but he never sold me as hard on anything than he did you. And at first I thought, are you kidding? That guy? Are you kidding? That delinquent? You got to be out of your mind.
This idiot teenager with his wannabe Kurt Cobain haircut. Yeah, that was. To this day, I have no idea why the guy took such a liking to me. But I can honestly say I wouldn't have been there and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him taking up the cause and promoting me coming in.
Yeah, and here we are. What is that? 26 years? I don't know. I can't do math in my head.
It's my entire life. It's everything that I got like 3 memories from childhood, and then it's standing at a radio station at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to think of something clever to say about Incubus. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. We talked about the Joe Rogan, Jerry Dyer thing. We may go back to that later. And I definitely want to get into Fox News and this defamation claim that's coming from Dominion Voting Systems. But Jill Biden is pushing back on Nikki Haley's idea of competency tests for politicians over 75.
You think?
Yeah. I don't think that Joe Biden is a very good president. I didn't think that Joe Biden was a particularly impactful United States senator. I don't think that Joe Biden is completely feeble and incapable of navigating life at what he's 89 years old now, isn't he? 87 or 89, I can't remember.
I don't know, and I should know that.
But he is the oldest president in the history of the United States, and he is 80 now. Trump's 76. These are the 2 leading candidates. And so you don't have young men running for this job that requires truly, maybe more than any other, that 24/7, 365 acuity and energy. And by the way, I think that Trump at 76 is much more vigorous than Biden. But I don't think that either one of them are feeble in the head.
I would take exception to one of those.
Okay.
I am not a clinician. I'm not a doctor. But at one point, I got out of radio, became a nursing home administrator. I have worked in 6 different nursing homes. And again, not a doctor, not qualified to make a proper diagnosis. But when you're in the building, you notice certain things.
Sure.
And I would make a very strong argument that at times our president has signs of dementia.
you've had more experience with it than I have. If he is showing signs of dementia, that's something that just he and his wife are going to have to take ownership of, because it's irresponsible to put a person who is not mentally capable into that office. It's dangerous. The mental acuity test for over 75, is that too young? Is that too old to just make sure somebody's mental apparatus is in good working order?
Some people will call it ageist, but I say go Haley. I think she's dead on. I think for example, I loved Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
One of the things that Democrats during the 80s, during his last term, used to nail him on all the time was, no, he's too old, he's got dementia, he's slipping up. I mean, that was in the news a lot. This is not the first time the United States of America has dealt with an aging president. We went through this with Ronald Reagan, and those Democrats in those days were vicious attacking him. Haley's comment, I guess I should call her Senator Haley or Secretary Haley, was pretty mild compared to some of those comments that were made about Ronald Reagan. Well, what happened just a very short time after Ronald Reagan was out of office? Well, he was diagnosed.
Yeah.
I will be I'll step out on a limb here and say when President Biden is out of office, I think we're going to see a similar thing.
I don't think that what you are asserting is unreasonable or even unlikely. And you are not the first person with substantial experience dealing with dementia patients. Again, not in a clinical way, but just look, as human beings, you spend time around folks, you get used to certain mannerisms and quirks and behaviors.
I'm observant if I'm nothing.
I also think that the way Nikki Haley put it across, it was not a naked attack on Biden or Trump. It was an acknowledgement. We've got Biden, we've got Trump, we've got Feinstein. How many other people do we have in the United States Senate that if you met a person that age at the DMV renewing their license, your eyebrow would go up? But these are the people steering the legislature of the country.
Yeah, I'm okay. This is a little bit exaggeration here, but we got the guy with the nuclear football.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he can't push all the buttons and fire it himself, but that's the magnitude of the consequences of having somebody, and I say this respectfully, who isn't all there. And at times, he's not all there.
With Biden, I suspect that this is an age thing. It's just he's an old man. And like I said, Trump, even though only 4 years his junior, seems to be a much more vigorous person. Trump can get up and talk extemporaneously for 90 minutes. That's not something that somebody who is incapable of formulating a thought goes and does. But you bring up the nuclear football. I mean, we're talking about a position of maximum responsibility. If we're going to test 75-year-olds, shouldn't we be testing anybody who's going to try and get elected to that office to make sure that they're sane, sober in the sense that they exercise clear-headed judgment, and not of a compromised mental state, period?
Of course we should. Of course we should test. And there will be people who will call it ageist and other things.
No, but I'm not talking about 75 plus. I'm saying you get a vigorous, healthy 50-year-old man. It is possible that person has something amiss upstairs that somehow was not vetted through the campaigning process. Should we be having a competence and capability test for the job, just period? Not as an age thing, but if you're going to be the president, we need to make sure that you're not going to freak out and try to bomb Taiwan tomorrow.
Never thought of that, I'll be honest with you.
It's such a tough job. It's I don't know how any of these guys do it except to say that take their day one picture and take their, 7 years, 11 months, 30 days picture, and every single one of them looks like they peeked into the Ark of the Covenant.
And fortunately, there are no competency tests for talk show hosts. America!
This report is sponsored by Bank of America. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2023.
Vehicle to carsforkids.org. The original carsforkids.org is the best vehicle donation charity, changing the lives of kids for more than 30 years, giving them a second chance at a brighter future because of your vehicle donations. Carsforkids.org offers free towing and takes vehicles in any condition. Plus, you'll receive a $50 gift card. Carsforkids.org. Donate your vehicle today.
Carsforkids.org. Right off the car, not the kid.
Meet the Kerr Companies. We are Kerr Wealth Management, Kerr Tax Advisors, Kerr Payroll, and Kerr Insurance. Collectively, we do it all under one umbrella. If you're a business owner or professional looking for straightforward business advice, investment solutions, payroll, or tax solutions, the Kerr Companies would love to meet with you to show you simple, straightforward solutions for complex problems. Call the Kerr Companies today at 559-277-4772 or online at thekerrcompanies.com. Kerr Companies.com.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. It's normal. With CalHope's free and secure mental health resources, it's easy to get the help you and your loved ones need when you need it the most. Call our warm line at 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
Hi, I'm Joe Holstein, president of SunPower by Quality Home Services, with an urgent message. The local utilities are changing the solar rates and credits, and it's not in your favor. It's estimated that with this new plan, known as NEM 3, new solar customers will lose as much as 75% of the savings that solar provides. That's the bad news. The good news is there's still time to get signed up on the current plan, but you only have until April 15th. So if you've ever thought about going solar or thought about adding on to your current system, now is the time. Call today before it's too late. Solar never has been and never will be as affordable as it is right now. So act today. Visit our website at sunpowerbyqhs.com. That's sunpowerbyqhs.com. Please don't miss out and don't delay. Act today before it's too late.
Don't miss out on the savings. Go to sunpowerbyqhs.com. That's sunpowerbyqhs.com. CSLB 716208.
Looking for a new dining and beverage experience? Come check out Genesis Bistro at the northeast corner of Cedar and Nice in Fresno, where the chef's cuisine, along with our mixologist's full cocktail and wine bar, are getting people talking. Open for lunch and dinner, make your next meal with friends or family at Genesis Bistro, a one-of-a-kind experience. Also a great place to host a special event or celebration meal. To reserve an event, call 559-314-8284. Are you a talented hairstylist looking for a change? Check out 8028 Salon at Cedar and Nice, where we have open stations available and a move-in special. 8028 Salon offers a unique location and atmosphere for you and your clients. Elegantly located next to Genesis Bistro, your clients will have full options to enjoy food and drinks during service. 8028 Salon only has a few open stations left. Give your talents as a stylist the location you deserve at 8028 Salon. Inquire today at the location, northeast corner of Cedar and Nice in Fresno. Open the doors to over $4 million in cash payouts monthly at Mono Wind Casino in Auberry. Feeling lucky? On Military Mondays, active and retired members of the military receive $5 in free slot play. Thirsty? Enjoy happy hour $3 drafts Friday through Sunday all day long. Don't forget to fill up at the 24-hour fuel station and check out the general store at Mono Wind Casino. See monowind.com for details. Where's lots of fun? Must be 21 to game.
Covering everything from lab leaks to political freaks. We're all over it at News Talk 580 1059 KMJ.
News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. This is the afternoon drive. Philip Teresi there. E. Curtis Johnson here, the new guy. They hired me. Yay! I'm a happy man today. I haven't been this happy in a long time.
Well, it's good news. I'm glad to have you here. And we got a lot to get to. Although I'm tempted to, at some point, make you sit down and recite the autobiography. Because you really have you have an interesting history in the business.
Okay. Can I bore the audience the second day and not the first day? Can you at least postpone that boredom for the listener? Okay, maybe 3 or 4 days.
I think that might be a good way to wrap up Friday then. But I don't think it's boring. It's one of those winding paths to get here that at least to me as a radio person, I find it fascinating because nobody gets to do it that way anymore. There's almost nobody on the talent side of the business who's been in as many places and worked in as many formats.
It's because I have a lot of dirt on a lot of program directors and general managers in the market.
Isn't that the comment every time somebody I don't like gets a promotion, gets a raise, you get somebody like Jesse Kelly gets into syndication, and my response is always, who does he have pictures of with a goat?
That's so true.
All right. This story out of Mexico, I just want to hit on this briefly because it's by now you've seen the news that 4 American citizens were assaulted and kidnapped in northeastern Mexico. This happened on Friday. And it is now believed that the Americans were targeted by the mistake. They think that the cartel mistook them for Haitian drug smugglers. And this was just U.S. citizens who were going down to Matamoros either for a medical procedure or to pick up prescription medication. Like they had nothing to do with anything, and the cartels thought they were the enemy.
Very plausible. I worked in Mexico for 2.5 years. Lived in San Diego. Drove to one of the over-the-border blasters. Loved the Mexican people. There are people I met there that I am still friends with. But unfortunately, the Mexican government is corrupt as they come. And it does not surprise me that this has happened, as horrible as it is. It doesn't surprise me that it doesn't happen more.
Is this a case of smaller town and less government control? Because you're talking about cartels basically taking people hostage, protecting their turf, or making a point about their turf. Is it because it's a smaller town that the government just doesn't have the presence to try and squash that?
I don't know that, but a lot of Latin America works by mordida, the bite. In transactions with the government, everybody's got to take their bite, the piece of the action. And it corrupts law enforcement. It corrupts society. This happens in a lot of countries. It's not just Latin America. But it is a pervasive corrupting influence in Mexico. And, I mean, who knows why exactly it happened.
So right now, the FBI has announced a $50,000 reward for the return of these 4 Americans taken hostage in Mexico. Not to be as cynical as I could be, but if the cartel turns these people over, could the cartel pick up that $50,000? I mean, yeah, it amounts to paying a bribe to criminals, but for $50,000, is it worth it to get these 4 people home?
Wow, that's a question.
It's the afternoon drive at News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ. That's E. Curtis Johnson. I'm Philip Teresi. Hour 2 is on the way on KMJ. Don't move.
Missed part of the show? Get the Afternoon Drive podcast at KMJNow.com or by searching KMJ's Afternoon Drive in TuneIn Radio or Google Podcasts.
Hey everybody, it's Philip Teresi for the local guys at CopyRabbit.com. It is impossible to predict the economy this coming year, but CopyRabbit.com is going to help by connecting local homeowners with business owners, freelancers, with the right professional for the job, which means they need to hear from you. Sign up for a free account at CopyRabbit.com, K-O-P-I Rabbit.com. Check out the website for opportunities in the community. Find your next customer at CopyRabbit.com, where people go to get things done.
Let me tell you about salt. It goes on a big old fat ribeye. It does not belong in your water. Hey again, Ray Appleton here, and I want to tell you about something better than a softener, which uses a lot of salt. It's a LifeSource salt-free, whole home water system. I have one. I love it. So does my neighbor. He just got it. He's thrilled. You are going to have the best water humanly possible coming out of every tap in your home. And with LifeSource, there's zero maintenance. There's no filters. There's no salt. There's no servicing. They install it, and then you just forget about it and love it. I mean, come on. LifeSource does so much more than softeners without salt. Ugh. And LifeSource is now offering new customers a free Apapure antibacterial filter. That's a savings of 825 big ones, or dollars if you prefer. This offer will end very soon. Why don't you call 559-330-1850 to claim that free Apapure with a qualifying purchase, of course. Click LifeSourceWater.com, 559-330-1850. Oh, you will taste and feel the difference, no doubt.
Selma Swap, buy or sell cars, parts, and big boy toys. March 18th, Highway 99 at Mountain View, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., rain or shine. SelmaSwap.com.
The original KMJ, 580 AM, 105.9 FM, Fresno, a Cumulus media station.
It's 3 o'clock in Fresno. I'm Jim Miller in the KMJ News Center. Fresno officer recovering for being shot in his bulletproof vest. Police say a wanted suspect opened fire Saturday night after they chased him and rammed his car near Herndon and Ingram Avenues. Officers fired back, killing the man. They say he's a known felon with 6 active warrants. The chase began when he refused to pull over for a traffic stop. Police asking for surveillance or cell phone video. Mother Nature forcing some people in Bass Lake from their homes. The Madera County Sheriff's Office issued an evacuation order yesterday due to the snow. It's already caused at least 8 buildings to collapse, and now the Sierra Springs Mobile Home Park is at risk. The snow has become thick and heavy as it weighs down roofs. An evacuation shelter set up at the Oakhurst Community Center. A military couple from Fresno County pleads guilty to identity theft. KMJ's Liz Kern reports.
The U.S. Attorney's Office says it was in 2018 that 32-year-old former Navy Chief Petty Officer Marquis Hooper was stationed in Japan. His wife, 39-year-old Natasha Chalk, was at NAS Lemoore. They'd hacked a database containing people's identities. Hooper claiming the 7th Fleet needed the database to run background checks on Navy personnel. They then sold the information on the dark web for $160,000 in Bitcoin. The U.S. Attorney's Office says both will be sentenced in July. They both face 20 years in prison and $250,000 in fines. Liz Kern, KMJ News.
The massive amount of snow at Shaver Lake bringing traffic to a standstill. State Route 168 is so covered some crews can't even see the road. They're working around the clock to clear the snow and reopen the highway, but there's no timeline when that'll happen. Only those who live or work near the area being allowed through with proof. At last check, about 300 homes still without power. The housing and sanitation crisis and earthquake-devastated Turkey and Syria getting worse. Latest from Fox's Tanya Hansen.
The UN appeal to the world for $1 billion in assistance for survivors is only about 10% funded. Alvaro Rodriguez, the UN representative in Turkey, said without going beyond that amount, they will not be able to meet the humanitarian needs for food, shelter, and water. According to Turkish government data, some 2 million survivors are in temporary housing, about half of them in tents. In some provinces, up to 500,000 people have relocated. Rodriguez says this is an opportunity for the international community to provide the support Turkey deserves. The earthquake and aftershocks have killed more than 47,000 people combined in both countries. The World Bank estimates the quake caused more than $34 billion in damages. Tanya Hansen, Fox News.
Now the forecast from Fox 26 is Justin Willis.
We're getting a break from the rain for a couple of days, mostly sunny with afternoon highs
highs in the mid to upper 50s through Thursday, still below normal. Overnight lows are in the mid 30s, but we've got another atmospheric river headed our way. Heavy rain expected on the valley floor Friday, along with rapid snowmelt in the Sierra, leading to a threat of flooding Thursday night through Saturday, and that's for the foothills and mountains below 8,000 feet. From the Fox 26 Weather Center for KMJ, I'm Justin Willis.
With news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks, and always streaming at KMJNow.com. I'm Jim Miller for News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ.
And taking a look at traffic conditions, 168 is still closed at Albury Road East. Highway 41 chains are required from Big Creek Springs, and Yosemite Park is still closed. And 180 chains are required 9 miles west of the 245 junction. Eastbound 198 and the 41 connector, there's been a collision with minor injuries. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
It's new, it's huge, and he's there 7 days a week. Lou Rodman's Patio Bar Stool and Amish Emporium. Where? Right next to Fashion Furniture across from Lowe's. There is nothing like this.
This is KMJ's Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson.
304 News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ. That's E. I'm Philip. Glad to have you guys along for the ride this afternoon. And it is E. Curtis Johnson's first day as the full-time co-host of the Afternoon Drive. Very, very glad to have you here.
This is a good sign. 1 hour, they haven't drugged me out yet. So I'm feeling firm. I'm feeling confident.
Fox News, there's been a lot of news about Fox News and this $1.6 billion defamation suit from Dominion Voting Systems. We saw the revelation that Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham and Rupert Murdoch were all, shall we say, skeptical, dubious about some of the claims being made by Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell about the 2020 election. There is a lot of fussing now that should Fox News and really the Murdoch media empire be found guilty of defamation, if they're ordered to pay this, that one, you could see Fox News actually being in financial trouble. I mean, $1.6 billion, a big chunk for any business. But the other argument here is that you are endangering the First Amendment by holding Fox News responsible for the way that it handled the story. Do you think that we have an actual First Amendment issue here, or when you start getting into defamation, slander, libel, have you found one of those areas inside the First Amendment that you don't just get to say what you want?
Well, the challenge with this, and Fox is going to claim we were just quoting an elected official, i.e. the president. We were just telling a news story. And, without vetting every single newscast, talk show, without having to, go through all the transcript of every single Fox program ever, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're going to have a hard time proving that Fox is guilty. I mean, if you're covering a story and you say so and so has said this, how do you get defamation for that? That's not right.
Well, that's interesting because I can see how you would arrive at that conclusion. But I can also see exactly what Dominion is complaining about here. If we have a city councilman, John Doe from City Council Area 9, and he starts ranting and raving that that Joshua Weekly eats puppies. And we report that Councilman Doe from Fresno City Council Area 9 says that Joshua Weekly eats puppies. We're protected by that. We're reporting a newsworthy statement from a newsworthy source without commentary or analysis into the reality of the claim. So if Joshua Weekly wants to sue the guy for saying he eats puppies, he's going after Councilman Doe. If I bring in Councilman Doe's attorney 4 or 5 times to present questionable evidence, despite the fact that Joshua Weekly has put his hand up and said, no, I'm not eating puppies, At a certain point, I've invited this person back, and I've allowed this person to use my soapbox to say whatever they want. Don't I have to take ownership of that?
Not necessarily, especially when you're talking about quoting the then sitting president of the United States of America. It's kind of hard to hold a news outlet responsible for quoting someone else. Again, haven't vetted every single transcript of every single Fox show, but from this article, I think they're going to have a hard time proving the case.
Well, I don't think they are, because you have the hosts acknowledging privately that they knew that this stuff coming out of, and it really focuses more on Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani than on Donald Trump. And the reason for that is because you had these hosts repeatedly bring these people on to make these statements, present these theories, try these cases in the court of public opinion. And one, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham they're not journalists, they're talk show hosts. And that's not a criticism, it's just an observation. They do not have the same obligation to objectivity that a journalist does. Their job is not markedly different from what you and I do. They just do it on a much larger scale and with buckets of money to ease the pain of the position they might take. If you know somebody's full of crap and you put them on the air to say that, aren't you responsible for having given them that opportunity?
Not necessarily. Because again, how do they know that they're full of crap? They don't name any news outlet, especially television show. They put all kinds of people on.
Oh, yeah. And somebody coming on and offering a perspective or a take is not by itself, especially as a one-off, that's not actionable. That's the nature of hosting a talk show, be it television or radio. But if I bring in Councilman Doe to say, Joshua, I'm sorry to keep picking on you, dude. Just for the record, Joshua does not, in fact, eat puppies. He very much loves dogs. But if I bring Councilman Doe in to make this statement, and I have his attorney back in, and I let the attorney carry on for a half an hour with charts and figures about how they believe that this is the case, and they're going to be going out to, fight Joshua Weekly in court because he's definitely doing this. And Joshua Weekly's attorney reaches out to me and says, hey, you put Councilman Doe's attorney on to say all this stuff about my guy. I'd like to come in and rebut. And you decline to do that? You're curating the content that created the problem.
Well, you make yourself a target, certainly.
Yeah.
But, boy, this is a tough one. This is really a tough one.
And see, if we were talking about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Parler, any of that, they're covered by the fig leaf of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. They're not responsible for the content on their platform. But I'm responsible if I bring somebody in here and let them hold forth. Now, if somebody comes in and says something nuts, and I say, well, lacking evidence and an opportunity to talk to the other side, I'm gonna let you wear that as your opinion. I'm not gonna make it an official standpoint of the show. I'm not gonna get sued for somebody coming in and saying something off the wall. If I have them back 8 or 9 times, it's a different story. You're promoting it. You're not just sanctioning it.
Well, I certainly a prosecuting attorney would make that argument. But how many times can a story be covered before it's news, before it becomes propaganda, before it becomes promotion? I don't know that there's a set number established for that. Also, I would wonder if they have to actually prove damage. In other words, did they sell any less voting machines because of this? Is there really any damage done?
Well, and that I think is another important piece. Because somebody was mean to me doesn't carry quite the same weight in the penalty phase as somebody completely destroyed my business and made it impossible for me to continue to function as an entity. And that may be where Dominion, I think they win the case. I think they're going to get a defamation victory because of how readily Fox promoted a narrative that we now know they didn't believe in. You've got those text messages that exist between the talent and the production staff where they say repeatedly, like, this lady's nuts, this guy's nuts, what's wrong with Rudy? Hannity talking about how he kept telling Trump, like, you're destroying your legacy. Yeah, you're making it impossible for me to back you up with this stuff. So they knew that what was being said wasn't true, and they still gave it a platform.
Hard to argue against that.
The other piece is, if you're in this is the part that I don't know to which side it falls. I've referred to Fox and CNN and MSNBC and all of the 24-hour cable news entities. I've been calling them the infotainment networks for a long time now, because I don't believe they're news entities. I believe that they're entertainment outlets.
Oh yeah, it's been years since we've had any actual news in this country off of television.
If you acknowledge that your function is as an entertainment outlet, does the standard change in terms of your responsibility for the behavior of a guest in that context?
It could, but when you've been calling yourself Fox News, it's a little late to make that argument.
I tend to think so, but I think that anything that calls itself a news station should be required to say, okay, we're going to do the news with, reporter Bob Jones for 5 minutes at the top and the bottom of the hour, and then we're going to return to the Sean Hannity show and editorial product, some variation therein. We have disclaimers when we try to sell medicine. We have disclaimers when we tell people to go check out a new bank. Why wouldn't we have a disclaimer for an entity that is switching back and forth between journalism and editorializing?
Good point. I mean, for example, Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson is a talk show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're not a news program.
No, I mean, this was something I got into with Nikki Henry 2 weeks ago after the situation unfolded at Bullard High, and I was trying to get somebody to talk about campus safety, and I got a lecture about how I wasn't being a good journalist because I wouldn't do the homework assignment that she gave me to read through all of the Fresno Unified Trustees bylaws. I'm not a journalist. I have no interest in being a journalist. But if somebody comes in here and says something crazy or inappropriate or damning of somebody else in this community, I feel an obligation to either let that other entity have their say or to put my hand up and go, I don't know what this guy's talking about, but I haven't seen the evidence to back this up.
Yeah, I mean, any broadcast outlet, I think, has an obligation to be transparent, to say, this is what this is. What we're doing now is a newscast, then we're going to do a talk show, and then there are commercials. I mean, it's no different than what Fox is dealing with. It's no different than what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you know what the take-home message from this may be? Is that you should become an attorney. Because you've made a very strong argument against Fox.
I don't think that Fox News should be bankrupted. I don't think that Fox News should be taken off the air. I do think that if Fox News is going to provide an entertainment product, it needs to be labeled as such, because in a society that has turned Kim Kardashian into a billionaire twice over, it's clear that there are people out there who are not consuming their media responsibly. And I think MSNBC and CNN and all of them should be doing the same.
Yeah, they all have to do it.
But not here. Here we're going to continue to be vague and confusing about who's journalist and who's not.
But it's a talk show, because I'm not a journalist and neither are you.
Nope, no sir. Phones are open at 490-5858. Toll free, you can join us at 800-776-5858. It's your afternoon drive with Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson on KMJ.
At eastbound 198 and northbound 41, there's been a collision. Minor injuries there. Up in Merced, southbound 99 East Childs Avenue, there's been a hit and run with no injuries. And Avenue 84, Road 352 in Tulare County, there is a freezer in the road, so be very careful. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Try Wendy's Homestyle French Toast Sticks today. Wendy's Homestyle French Toast Sticks are so good. Some are saying they're better than their mom's French toast. Perfectly crispy on the outside, perfectly fluffy on the inside, perfectly perfect in every way. Try Wendy's Homestyle French Toast Sticks today and see if they're better than your mom's.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Tara, quote, "My doctor wanted me to do saline rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a neti pot. Navage uses suction power, so it's foolproof. There are nights when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver," unquote. She's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
It's the annual spring parking lot sale at Bedrosian's Tile and Stone. Tuesday, March 7th through the 11th only. You get the lowest prices on their highest quality products for your home's new look. So don't fall for discounts on low quality or misleading prices from the big box stores. At Bedrosian's, save big on top quality porcelain tile, luxury vinyl, engineered wood, granite, quartz, and more. Ask about 0% financing. It's Bedrosian's annual spring parking lot sale on Sean Marty behind Chili's in Fresno. Bedrosian's Tile and Stone.
In order for small businesses to thrive, they need to be smart, efficient, agile, staying ahead of the market at every turn, and finding ways to do more with less. That's never been more important than it is right now. So for a limited time, Comcast Business is introducing Small Business Savings, a deal for companies across the country. When you call in now, you can get powerful internet for just $39 a month for 12 months. $39 a month, with no annual contract and a money-back guarantee. All on the largest, fastest, reliable network for small businesses, with the company that powers more businesses than anyone else. So if you're a small business owner, don't wait. Call and get started today. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Offer ends 3/21/23. Restrictions apply. New Comcast Business 50 megabits per second internet customers only. Requires EcoBill and AutoPay. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Call or go online for details. After promo, regular rates apply.
This is Christina Mousson. Over the last 7 years, Closets by Design has organized 5 of my closets, a garage, a mudroom, and even my wine storage in not 1, but 2 of my homes. I keep going back time and again because they make organization easy, which in return makes my life easy. From the initial design appointment to installation, customer service and your satisfaction is their priority. If you want proof, you know you can always go to my Facebook page and see the quality for yourself. And maybe you've already done that and thought to yourself, I can't afford that. Well, that's not true, especially right now. Mention you heard this ad on KMJ and you'll get 40% off and 18 months interest-free financing. What better time to give Closets by Design a call? 453-7034. That's 453-7034. Check them out online at closetsbydesign.com. Closets by Design. Don't just imagine it. Make your home beautifully organized.
Valley Caregiver Resource Center is introducing a new idea, a matter of balance. It's simple and effective. A program designed to reduce the fear of falling and increase the activity levels of older adults who have concerns about losing balance and the injuries that follow. In multiple 2-hour sessions, this program sets realistic goals for increased activity. It promotes exercise to increase strength and balance and eliminates fall risk factors. A matter of balance puts confidence in your step because the fear of falling creates anxiety and contributes to the problem. A matter of balance is designed for older adults concerned about falls and how that restricts activities. Learn how to stop, look, and listen to your surroundings. Improve flexibility, balance, and strength. You too will see great results. For more information, call Valley Caregivers at 224-9154.
Funding provided by private donations and a grant from the Fresno Madera Area Agency on Aging.
Could you use monthly payments to help meet basic needs, like putting food on the table, paying the rent, or buying new shoes for growing feet? Find out about supplemental security income. You may qualify if your income and financial resources are low and you're 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI. Produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. This is the Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi and the new kid on the block, yours truly, E. Curtis Johnson. So, my favorite gaff master. Now, I've got a couple of years on my friend Phil here. So I can remember back in the 80s, people talking about Senator Joe Biden from Delaware as being the gaff master.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, he's earned that title for a long, long time. Well, he's done it again here. So yesterday, he was talking about a very pivotal moment in United States history, the Bloody Sunday March. It was the 50th commemorative anniversary of that event, which, of course, talked about what happened in Selma, Alabama. And rather than just keeping it to the historical event that it was and what a turning point it was even though it was a tragic event, it was for a long-term turning point, positive for the country. Rather than leaving it that, the gaff master had to do what he does best, and that is stick his foot in his mouth and claim something that wasn't true. So he said to the crowd at Selma, Alabama, he says, "I was a student up north in the civil rights moment. I remember feeling how guilty I was that I wasn't here. How could we all be up there and you going through what you went through? Blah, 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 blah." There is no historical proof whatsoever that Joe Biden was ever involved in the civil rights movement back in the 1960s. Not a shred of evidence to say that. There's lots of things, though, that Biden is famous for, none of it good. For example, if you look at some of his other false claims. Now, this is from CNN.
Yeah.
Communist News Network. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being a little stretching it there. But CNN, the liberal bastion that it is even called out President Biden, saying that none of his voting rights speeches, for example, Biden has claimed that he was arrested in a civil rights march. CNN has called him out on that. No evidence to that whatsoever. He's also made false claims about the important policy matters concerning the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. He's made dozens of claims saying that, misleading context. CNN has called him out on all of that. Now, here's from PolitiFact, which I think by and large is pretty unbiased, I will say.
Yeah.
PolitiFact. So, for example, in February 2023, just last month, Biden has claimed that the average tax for billionaires is about 3%, which is a lower tax than a school teacher or a firefighter. Bold claim from President Biden. PolitiFact has said not true. Biden's also claimed in the last 2 years that democracies have become stronger, not weaker, and that autocracies have grown weaker, not stronger. PolitiFact saying, no, President, that is not true. December 16th of last year, right after Biden became vice president and in behalf of his father, claimed that he gave his uncle, Frank Biden, a Purple Heart for serving in the U.S. military during World War II. False claim. Never happened. Says that he's been to Afghanistan and Iraq and all those areas twice as president. Again, PolitiFact say did not happen. It's claimed in October 27th, the price of gas is down from over $5 when I took office. Blatant lie. Not true. I mean, we don't need PolitiFact to tell us that isn't true.
Yeah.
Stated on October 23rd, student loan forgiveness is passed. I got it passed by a vote or two, and it's in effect, close quote. Not true. July 6th of last year, claims that the average federal income tax paid by the richest American is 8%, claims if you're a cop, a teacher, a firefighter, a union worker, you probably pay 2 or 3 times that amount. Not true, according to PolitiFact. Not true. Claimed in June of last year, gun manufacturers are the only industry in this country that have immunity to lawsuits. Not true. The gaffe master strikes again. May of last year, when President Biden took office, there was no vaccine available, was his quote. Not true at all. April 11th of last year says you couldn't buy a cannon when, in fact, the Second Amendment was passed. Not true. You could. Now, we're going back a little bit in history to that.
Yeah. He was probably, in high school when that happened.
That's right. March 1st of last year, he says, I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. We don't need PolitiFact to tell us that that's not true, but nonetheless, they have. I mean, the audacity of that. The off the cuff comment from the President of the United States saying, I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. I go back to my previous senility comment about our president.
Bringing it up to the latest false claim again. This claim that he was somehow engaged in the civil rights movement, that while he didn't march at Selma, he was involved in these sit-ins. If it was anybody other than Joe Biden, my response would be, do we just have somebody who's a little bit guilty of the Woodstock effect? Every boomer claims to have been at Woodstock, despite the fact that there's, obviously that's not correct. Yeah. In fact, I've met one person who told me a credible story about being near Woodstock. He was at summer camp on the other side of the hill and remembers hearing the PA broadcasts.
See, to me, Woodstock was a character on the Peanuts cartoon, but please continue.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. He was attending some kind of youth camp or whatever, and he remembers this broadcast about brown acid, and as like a 9-year-old child, not really being sure what they were doing over there, but the music was cool. Boy, I want to phrase this right. I don't want to use too coarse a language. Is this a case of Joe Biden just being a BSer, period? Is this a guy who likes to tell a good story, who just also happens to be a politician, and we're not going to let truth get in the way of the aha moment?
Well, possibly, and maybe this was more allowable when you were just a senator from Delaware. By the way, have you ever been to Delaware?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, what a boring place. But anyway, I digress. If we have any Delaware listeners, I'm sorry. But, when you're a senator, you can, I guess, maybe get away with this kind of stuff like he has for years. But when you're the president of the United States of America and you play loose and fancy-free with your ego and non-historic facts, you deserve to be called out. I don't care who you are as a president of the United States. You can't hold that office and tell lies.
I think that one of the pieces here, not that it excuses the behavior, but I think that it explains why we're continuing, because that's pretty egregious to claim to have been a part of the civil rights sit-ins in that part of the country in that moment in time, because either you were there and you were putting skin in the game or you weren't. And claiming falsely to have participated is pretty disrespectful. For 40 years, Joe Biden could say whatever popped up to the top of his head, and there were no internet fact checkers. Today, he says something dumb, and there's 200,000 people on Twitter like that calling him out.
Yeah.
It's the Afternoon Drive on KMJ. That's E. Curtis Johnson. I'm Philip Teresi, and we are due for a check of headlines with Jim Miller in the KMJ Newsroom.
KMJ News now.
It's 3:30 in Fresno. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Miller in the KMJ News Center. Well, the travel stop near Shaver Lake continuing its crews work to clear snow from the roads. Efforts to reopen State Route 168 ongoing, and officials say no one is allowed to head up toward Shaver Lake unless they have proof of residence or work. The opening of China Peak also pushed back to Wednesday, that due to dangerous conditions. Fresno man facing DUI charges after crashing into a city pole this morning. Police say the 40-year-old driver under the influence when the accident occurred on Ashland near West Avenue just before 2:30. The driver not hurt but was arrested. No other cars were involved in that crash. Rail safety is in the spotlight again after the fourth Norfolk Southern train derailment in Ohio in just 5 months. Fox's Jeff Panoso reports.
Sandusky, Steubenville, East Palestine, and now Springfield, Ohio, the site of the latest train crash where 28 cars from a Norfolk Southern train derailed on Saturday.
I just don't understand why we're having all these train derailments all of a sudden.
They're on it right away, they're fixing it right away, and it was good to hear nobody was hurt.
Shelter-in-place orders lifted for those Clark County residents, with the company saying that no hazardous materials were leaked in the crash, with the investigation and cleanup ongoing. Meantime, Norfolk Southern, which has been ordered by the EPA to make East Palestine whole again, is also pledging several $1 million to cover Pennsylvania's response from that toxic crash. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Now the forecast from Fox 26's Justin Willis.
We're getting a break from the rain for a couple of days, mostly sunny with afternoon highs in the mid to upper 50s through Thursday, still below normal. Overnight lows are in the mid 30s, but we've got another atmospheric river headed our way. Heavy rain expected on the valley floor Friday, along with rapid snowmelt in the Sierra, leading to a threat of flooding Thursday night through Saturday, and that's for the foothills and mountains below 8,000 feet. From the Fox 26 Weather Center for KMJ, I'm Justin Willis.
With news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks, and always streaming at KMJNow.com. I'm Jim Miller for News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ.
And taking a look at Monday afternoon traffic in the Fig Garden area, North Maroa and East Ashland. There's been an injury accident. It was also a hit and run. In Tulare County, Road 68 and Highway 137, there's been an injury accident there. In the KMJ Traffic Center, I'm Ron McCary.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers across the country with 20,000 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Custom blinds at low prices and free shipping. Blindster.com.
Employees are tough to find. Good ones even tougher. Unless you're at the Central Valley Career Fair coming to Sierra Vista Mall March 16th. It's your chance to find some great new hires from hundreds looking to find or upgrade their future employment. This career fair is promoted to job seekers or people who may consider a change by 4 Big Valley radio stations, including this one. It's the Central Valley Career Fair March 15th from 11 till 2 at the Sierra Vista Mall, presented by the Arc of Fresno and Madera counties. To reserve your space, go to KMJNow.com.
Attention Fresno, Semper Solaris is ready to install your solar now and complete your paperwork in time for NEM2. They have teams working around the clock 7 days a week and have processed over 35,000 applications and counting. More than any solar company in California. No one works harder than Semper does with esprit de corps and honor. Go solar American style. Declare your independence with Semper Solaris, your local and veteran-owned solar contractor who gets the job done right. Imagine no money out of pocket, no payments until 2024. Call 559-242-1800. Worried about blackouts? Tesla and Enphase batteries are in stock. Plus, Semper offers new furnace and AC systems with a lifetime warranty and new roofs with a 50-year warranty. Don't wait. Get your solar system installed by Semper Solaris before net metering changes and rates go up even more. For all offers, call 559-242-1800 or visit sempersolaris.com. On approved credit expires 3/31/23. CSLB number 97815.
What do you do with a shy chicken? Get her to come out of her shell. Get it? Hi, folks. This is Lon Hanna, and it's time again to decide between blondes, brunettes, or redheads. We're talking chicks, baby chicks. And from now through June, Evans Feed is your baby chick headquarters. They've got Rhode Island Reds, Americanas, Buff Orpingtons, New Hampshire Reds, you name it. Ducks, geese, and turkeys, too. On Thursdays only, buy a 50-pound chick starter and get 5 chicks free. This is Lon Hanna telling you to choose Evans Feed for your Western lifestyle in Madera, Chowchilla, and Porterville.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt for your guaranteed biggest refund and 50% off tax prep. Switch to Jackson Hewitt. 50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Ever wonder why your business doesn't show up on online search maps, but your competitors do? It's hundreds of things. Things that Cumulus Boost can identify and fix. And that's how we boost your findability. CumulusBoost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
Now, KMJ's Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson.
Welcome to the circus.
E. Curtis Johnson, how did that guy get a job here? It's 105.9 News Talk KMJ. I'm E. Curtis Johnson, new kid in town. Actually, not in town, just new to the show. I've lived here a long time. Happy to be here, though.
I'm really glad we got you through the door. And now begins that learning curve of the soap opera that is the local political scene in Central California.
You wouldn't be referring to Bredefeld and Brandau, would you?
This is such a strange. It's such a strange story because you've got this really mundane circumstance that came about where the state of California started to impose standards on the transfer of political money from campaign to campaign. And they put the option out there for local municipalities to establish their own limits. So years ago, and by years I mean like 2 or 3, the Fresno County Board of Supervisors established a $30,000 limit on extra campaign account transfers. So if you are going to run for mayor of Fresno and you are currently the dog catcher of Fresno, you're only able to move $30,000, even if you've got $100,000 in the account.
Okay.
Both Bredefeld and Luis Chavez are now going to run for supervisorial seats. Bredefeld versus Brandau, Chavez versus Quintero. Well, Bredefeld's got like $200,000 in the bank. Chavez has like $115,000, $120,000 in the bank. They can only move $30,000. The rest of that money has to be used to settle out their old campaigns and refunded to donors. Bredefeld's making, and actually Bredefeld and Chavez are both making the point. This looks like an incumbent protection plan because if you're only allowed to transfer $30,000, you're at a disadvantage. Whereas if they can bring over their war chests, both of them are automatically better funded than their opponent.
Interesting point.
What surprised me was how long it took for Steve Brandau to speak up about this, because Brandau's not, he's no shrinking violet. The guy was a Tea Partier, and he got into a little bit of hot water for some of his opinionated takes back in the day. And Gary Bredefeld had a press conference, talked about they're going to hire attorneys. The county has made a move to provide injunctive relief because Bredefeld and Chavez both said, your law's stupid, we're not going to follow it.
Well, and Bredefeld's no shrinking violet himself.
No, Gary doesn't back off of a fight.
Yeah, you pick a fight with Gary, he's going to return it.
So Brandau finally turned up on Sunday Morning Matters with Alex on Balakian this past weekend. And I think the most surprising thing to me is that Brandau drops this line about, I've tried to be nice to the little feller. I tried being friends with that little feller. There's no earthly way that he said that without thinking that Gary Bredefeld was going to go absolutely to a hard 10 on the response.
Yeah, those are fighting words.
I know that Councilman Bredefeld has a habit of calling a press conference and raising Cain about stuff that doesn't always pan out to be quite the magnitude that he portrays in the press conference. In this case, does Gary have a point that this cap, even though it's a much higher cap than what the state of California would have imposed had the supervisors not acted, does he have a point that this is protecting incumbents, even if incidentally so?
Well, sure. If you look at it just logically, yeah, there is a point, but it's a moot point because what's done is done. You're not going to change it. It's just sour grapes at that point.
Is it possible if Bredefeld and Chavez both move on this? We're both politicians in the county of Fresno because the city's inside of the county, even though they're two separate jurisdictions. We're politicians in Fresno. We're both working towards political posts also in Fresno. Can he push back on this thing successfully and get it turned? I know that's more of a lawyer question, but even if I think that the tone on this is wrong, I think that Bredefeld's right. This doesn't have anything to do with protecting the voter. How does this protect you and I from somebody misbehaving?
Well, if you look at it logically, it doesn't. But, as far as due process, it can't be changed in time for the election.
Maybe not. The county made the move to hire an attorney to start that process towards that injunctive relief. In other words, to stop Bredefeld and Chavez from these much larger transfers. Brandow and Salcantero both recused themselves from that vote. They didn't participate in that, so it was the other three supervisors
as they should have.
Yeah, no, I think that they were above board on that. Is it a waste of taxpayer money to go in and fight this fight? Is the county doing anything to serve the interest of their constituents, the taxpayers and the voters of Fresno, by getting into this legal battle over a transfer of funds that one way or another it's going to happen? The people who donated to Gary Bredefeld to get his war chest to that, I think, $200,000 line, if Gary goes through, pays off all the accounts from the old campaign, makes the $30,000 transfer to which he is lawfully allowed to, as the law currently exists in the county of Fresno. And then he refunds all that money. If you had donated $2,500 to Gary Bredefeld for his city council campaign, and he gives it back to you and he says, I can't transfer this to my supervisorial campaign, but if you'd like to see me as county supervisor, you can donate to Gary for supervisor right here. How many of those people are going to bounce that cash right back to him anyways?
It's a good point. But it's missing the bigger picture, which is if what you describe, and I understand what you describe, is absolutely true, and if it plays out that way, both of those candidates would just be making a campaign about themselves rather than what they're going to do.
Oh, and by the way, I kept using injunctive relief. It's declaratory relief. Forgive me, I'm not a lawyer. I barely got out of high school. The campaign should just be about what these people intend to do. When's the last time we had a campaign for anything that was just about what we're going to do?
Well, okay. Yeah, you got me on that one.
I think the cleanest race in Fresno County in terms of two people simply saying, I think I'm the right guy for the job, was the race for Fresno County Sheriff when Margaret Mims announced her retirement. And we had now Sheriff Zanoni, and we had Deputy Chief Salazar running. And they didn't, I mean, they both had their moments, but it wasn't a mudslinging, that guy's a jerk. They just talked about the things they wanted to do as sheriff. I think that's the only race in this town that hasn't involved somebody calling somebody else names.
Well, local politics, I don't care what state or city you're in, local politics oftentimes becomes the ugliest because it's oftentimes the most personal. You have people who really do know each other. They live in the same city. They've gotten under each other's skins before. But is either one of these guys, if we project what's going to happen here, is any one of these guys going to back away from that fight? No, it's just going to get uglier and uglier.
Which is such a strange thing because I don't know I know that at one time Luis Chavez worked for Sal Quintero. When Sal was on city council, Luis was a part of his staff. Bredefeld and Brandow were never in a superior subordinate role. They were always contemporaries in the context of their political job titles. And they were buddies. They line up on more issues than not as far as their voting records. That's part of why I was mystified by Bredefeld's choice to go after the Supervisor District 2 seat. It would have made way more sense, from my perspective, for Bredefeld to go after Jim Patterson's seat since Patterson's termed out.
Well, do this for me, all right? Before you move on to your next position as campaign manager, get me through a couple of shows here, all right, before you leave, so I can take over and do the job I should do, all right? Just promise me that much.
Does Bredefeld have a clap back to the little feller line? Does he bring up the fact that Brandel might be the same height?
Oh, then it'll get really ugly and very entertaining.
And taking a look at Monday afternoon traffic in the Fig Garden area of Fresno, North Baroa, East Ashland. There has been a collision. There were minor injuries there. South of Fresno, southbound 99 at East American Avenue, a traffic hazard of some sort. We're looking at 168. It's still closed eastbound from Auberry Road. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
This report is sponsored by Bank of America. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2023.
Welcome back to Solar Squabble. Leo here is about to name a community that Solar4U's experts are from. So, Leo?
Fresno.
Not likely.
How about Clovis?
Nope. Top answer on the board is outsourced from wherever.
Well, that's unfortunate, because the best work comes right from the people in our own communities, like at Energy Concepts. We've been here over 30 years and are the highest rated SunPower elite dealer in the Valley. Staying local? Now that's a power move.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Hey everybody, it's Philip Teresi introducing you to the local guys at CopyRabbit.com. What's CopyRabbit? That is an excellent question. We all have projects we've been putting off. CopyRabbit is here to help you with all the projects you've been putting off. Just go to CopyRabbit.com, post your project, add some photos of what you have in mind, maybe even a video and a description of the project, and you're done. It's that easy, and the best part is it's free. CopyRabbit will send your project details to professionals in the area who will look at the scope of work along with the photos that were posted and send you a quote. And CopyRabbit isn't just one kind of service. It's literally whatever you need done. Whatever you need. CopyRabbit is a one-stop shop to get your time back. KOPIRabbit.com. Whether you're a housekeeper, a mechanic, a landscaper, there are customers with job postings at CopyRabbit.com who want to meet you. KOPIRabbit.com, where people go to get things done. That's CopyRabbit.com.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-932-4177. 800-932-4177. 800-932-4177. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
In the early days of broadcasting, few people realized what a fine art radio was to become, or what an influence it was destined to wield upon mankind.
Serving you since 1922. News Talk 580 1059. KMJ.
News Talk 580 and 1059 KMJ. This is the Afternoon Drive. Philip Teresi there. E. Curtis Johnson here, just joining the show today. I got the job. Yay. Very happy man today. Very happy.
So we were talking about the supervisorial contest. We've got incumbent Steve Brandow, Fresno County Board of Supervisors, District 2. We've also got incumbent Sal Quintero, District 3, and they are being challenged by Fresno City Council members Gary Bredefeld and Luis Chavez, respectively. Brandow finally sat down and talked to Alexan Balakian at KC24 Sunday Morning Matters, and he dropped this line about, I tried being friends with that little feller. And I want to share this audio with you guys, because I'll be honest, I was genuinely surprised to hear somebody pop off, in particular about Gary Bredefeld like this.
Some would say that Councilman Bredefeld was your friend, and now
I would say that.
And
Absolutely.
He's a political foe.
Well, yeah.
Are you guys still friends?
No, I think that's kind of over with. You know, I've tried being friends with that little feller for a long time. We played a lot of golf. We went out.
Wait. Say that again, Supervisor.
No, I think that's kind of over with. You know, I've tried being friends with that little feller for a long time. We played a lot of golf. We went out to eat. We did stuff together, and he's decided to stick me in the back. I'm big enough. I can get over it. We're going to move forward.
Some would.
So that's Steve Brandow, Sunday Morning Matters. Audio credit there to KC24, Alexan Balakian.
What? Local politics getting down in the dirt? What?
I have heard local politicians say sometimes shockingly rough things about other local politicians on background. I think the only person that I've had walk into this studio and pop off that hard is probably Major Sladek. And he's no longer he's not currently a local politician because he's no longer on the Fresno Unified Board of Trustees. I don't think I've ever heard anybody pop off like that about Bredefeld. I've heard the expression Gary be Gary is something that has been tossed about forever. But I tried being friends with that little feller. It's funny, but is that going to come back to bite him?
Well, I'm sure it will, but come on. As two guys who have been on the radio for a while, this is good for us. Because there's going to be some verbiage and language thrown around. Is it the start of a verbal kerfuffle? Well, of course it is. And it'll be interesting and fun.
So when we get back, I actually have a preview, and I'm being completely serious about this. There's no parody here. I actually have a preview of Gary Bredefeld's first campaign ad. He sent it to me earlier today, so I thought we'd drop that audio, see what you guys think of it, especially as the race begins to heat up. It's the Afternoon Drive at News Talk 580 and 1059 KMJ. An update of headlines is on the way with Jim Miller in the KMJ newsroom. Another check of your drive with Ron McCary in the KMJ Traffic Center in Hour 3 with E. Curtis Johnson and Philip Teresi on the way on KMJ.
Missed part of the show? Get the Afternoon Drive podcast at KMJNow.com or by searching KMJ's Afternoon Drive in Amazon Music or Stitcher.
We always fix what you need fixed. Auto House of Clovis.
Hey y'all, this is Gabe Navarro with a pro tip from Auto House of Clovis. Your vehicle is one of your biggest investments and one of the few items you need to be able to depend on. Your vehicle has been there for you through thick and thin, and we intend to keep it that way. We know times are a little uncertain these days, but our commitment to quality, reliable service is always guaranteed. At Auto House of Clovis, we aim to make the not-so-enjoyable process of automotive repair as easy as possible, so your only worry is what to make for dinner. Give our team a call at 559-292-2028. And if you're looking to join Daryl and his team, We're taking applications for technician positions of all skills and interests.
We always fix what you need fixed. Auto House of Clovis.
Hi, I'm Joe Holstein, president of SunPower by Quality Home Services, with an urgent message. The local utilities are changing the solar rates and credits, and it's not in your favor. It's estimated that with this new plan, known as NEM 3, new solar customers will lose as much as 75% of the savings that solar provides. That's the bad news. The good news is there's still time to get signed up on the current plan, but you only have until April 15th. So if you've ever thought about going solar or thought about adding on to your current system, now is the time. Call today before it's too late. Solar never has been and never will be as affordable as it is right now. So act today. Visit our website at sunpowerbyqhs.com. That's sunpowerbyqhs.com. Please don't miss out and don't delay. Act today before it's too late.
Don't miss out on the savings. Go to sunpowerbyqhs.com. That's sunpowerbyqhs.com. CSLB 716208.
And let me tell you, it's been a real adventure dealing with the Zuber team and the potential sale of my home on Van Ness. 2903 Van Ness. Hint, hint, it's gorgeous, 2 stories. It's over 100 years old. I've done much to it, and I want you to live there. Get a hold of the Zuber team, please. I used a couple of programs to make sure I could get into the condominium that I wanted to in kind of an expeditious, quickie way. The Zuber team has a number of programs that can help you out. If you have to move on now, ask the Zuber team to give you an instant cash offer on the place that you're selling. With the Zuber team, you can buy before you sell. Ask about the trade-up program. Darren and Daryl will take care of you and any other of the Zuber team members. The Zuber team with Real Broker has been at it since 1971. They've sold close to 7,000 homes. They have hundreds of 5-star reviews between Google and Zillow. Click Zuber Team, Z-U-B-E-R, zuberteam.com, or Google Zuber Team. They're so easy to find, and they're easier to work with.
Selma Swap, buy or sell cars, parts, and big boy toys. March 18th, Highway 99 at Mountain View, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., rain or shine. SelmaSwap.com.
News Talk, 580 AM, 105.9 FM, KMJ, Fresno, a Cumulus Media station.
KMJ.
It's 4 o'clock in Fresno. I'm Jim Miller in the KMJ News Center. Merced County Sheriff's Office releases a video of a deputy-involved shooting in Dos Palos. A warning, the audio can be disturbing. KMJ's Liz Kern reports.
On January 13th, Merced County Sheriff's Dispatch received a 911 call from a woman on the 8000 block of Globe Avenue. She told him her boyfriend, Adolfo Cruz, had assaulted her and he was holding her 5-year-old son captive with a large knife. She then says he started a fire.
He's burning my house, dude. He's burning your house? Are you kidding me? Yes, he's burning my house. Get over here now.
Okay, ma'am, we have deputies en route too. They're getting to you as quickly as possible.
Deputies arrived, Cruz speaking to them through a second-story window, holding a 13-inch kitchen knife and the child.
Adolfo,
No, just I'm tired of
you're going to make worse, bro.
No.
Just come talk to me.
I'm not going to go. No, I know these guys should take it out.
Let them out. Let you keep them out.
No.
You don't want to see this. Let you keep
No, I do.
No. Come talk to me.
No, that's it, bro. I'm going to be in the life.
What are you going to do then?
I'm going to kill me and my kid, honestly.
Don't do that. You've been doing
I'm not going to go to prison, and I'd rather, I'm telling you, I'm going to die.
Up to you.
You're going to come over here, dude. I'm being serious, bro. I'm not going to go to prison. I'm telling you, I'm not going to go to prison.
Officers told him to drop it. Then a detective fired a single shot. Cruz was pronounced dead at the scene. They rescued the child. Both the DA's office and police are reviewing the case. Liz Kern, KMJ News.
A man now faces 154 years to life in prison after he was found guilty of child molestation against 4 different victims in Tulare County. The jury recently found Natherin Giovanni Ruiz guilty of 11 counts of lewd acts on a child under 14 and 1 count of contacting a minor. Officials say each count against Ruiz is a felony and 12 counts have been considered strike offenses against him. The TCDA's office says the crimes date back to 2011 and took place through 2015 in both Porterville and the Lindsay area. His victims, officials say, were aged between 9 and 13. His sentence hearing has been scheduled for May 3rd. Arrest made in Atlanta, where demonstrators set fires at the site of a proposed police training facility where officers killed a man who they claim shot first. Fox's Eben Brown reports.
Atlanta police say a number of protesters seen throwing explosives leading to a large fire at the construction site of a police training center are now in custody. Chief Darren Shirebaum says their identities will be published.
We continue to see a number of individuals not from Atlanta, Georgia, that are present tonight undertaking criminal activities.
Protesters call the facility Cop City and have long trespassed the site. One trespasser was killed weeks ago when he fired at approaching officers. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Gas prices continue to creep up in Fresno. AAA reports the average price for a gallon of regular Monday, $4.82. It's up 16 cents from a week ago. Statewide average is even higher. It's $4.90. Now the forecast from Fox 26 is Justin Willis.
We're getting a break from the rain for a couple of days. Mostly sunny with afternoon highs in the mid to upper 50s through Thursday. Still below normal. Overnight lows are in the mid 30s. But we've got another atmospheric river headed our way. Heavy rain expected on the valley floor Friday, along with rapid snowmelt in the Sierra, leading to a threat of flooding Thursday night through Saturday. And that's for the foothills and mountains below 8,000 feet. From the Fox 26 Weather Center for KMJ, I'm Justin Willis.
With news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks, and always streaming at KMJNow.com. I'm Jim Miller for News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ.
And taking a look at traffic in Tarpey Village at North Eddy and East Tarpey, there is a traffic hazard of some sort. Also, southbound 99 at East American, a traffic hazard of some type. And in the Fig Garden area of Fresno, North Maroa and East Ashland, there's been a collision with minor injuries. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
That cruiser is pure gold.
Right you are, Daddy-O. Chuck Chansey Gold. It's the $600,000 Cruisin' Camaro giveaway. There are winners every day, February 27th through April 28th. Only at Chuck Chansey Gold Resort and Casino.
KMJ's Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson.
4:05 on your afternoon drive. This is News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. E. Curtis Johnson's over there. My name's Philip Teresi. We're glad to have you along for the ride. The phones are open if you want to join us. 490-5858, toll-free 800-776-5858. And you should be able to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at DriveKMJ. So I told you guys, Gary Bredefeld has a new campaign ad ready to go. And it is a... I think that the ad is probably intended for television and streaming the way it's formatted at this point. But there's enough audio there that I'm comfortable throwing it out in this context so you guys can kind of hear where he's coming from as Steve Brandau calls him a little feller on a political talk program. This is how Gary's ready to go, man.
Do you solemnly swear and defend the Constitution of the United States?
I do. America is only as strong as we are strong.
Government's role is not to create harm, and what they often forget is we are not the peasants and they're the kings. They work for us.
The stench is disgusting. What a disgrace. Mayors, like in LA and New York, that are telling people to snitch on people. This is not America.
This is what we'll see in the People's Chamber.
In God We Trust is simply about faith, values, and patriotism. It is not choosing one religion over another. On active duty, and aside from my family and children, that is the greatest honor that I ever had the privilege of doing.
Veteran leader supervisor, Gary Bredefeld. So that's the new ad. Like I said, definitely formatted for a video-friendly format, but it's a decent spot. It's also it's a greatest hits collection going all the way back to the In God We Trust council chambers wall adornment, which I think that was year one for him back on the city council.
My memory went with my hair on that one, so.
That was a long ways, but that was my first conversation with him because I felt that it was an unnecessary addition, and that was my first experience with Councilmember Bredefeld coming in and defending a position, and my respect for him increased tremendously because there literally was not a question the guy wouldn't answer.
I don't know him. I've watched him on the news for quite some time. He's a scrapper.
Oh yeah,
and I say that with affection. I like local politicians who aren't afraid to say what they mean.
Oh, he's not afraid to say what he means, and I agree with Gary about more than I disagree with Gary. But when we disagree, we really disagree. But that's said with all the respect due to somebody who has shown up and gone to bat for his community and done what he believes is right. Even if I don't agree with him, I can respect him. But I don't ever want to get into an argument with him at a bar because it's never going to end.
I'd pay money to see that.
Kellyanne and George Conway are announcing that they are getting divorced. Is this a surprise to anybody on earth?
Probably not. But the thing that I hate about this is it looks like a hit job from the left. And here's my read. My read is that somehow somebody on the left has got Kellyanne Conway, pigeonholed as, the Tinkerbell of right-wing politics. Some sort of, icon of what Republicans stand for or what the right stands for.
Well, she was acting as a spokesperson for President Trump. I mean, she didn't accidentally trip and fall into conservative politics.
Well, no, I'm not questioning her loyalty to who she used to work for. I'm not questioning her conservative values, but it just looks like a hit job. Somebody on the left gets divorced, it doesn't get any press at all. Somebody on the right gets divorced, it's they're failing their own principles, and that is to me what this smacks of.
Really? Yeah, I guess I can see how you would interpret it that way. I think it was just the surprise that these two, people talk about, it's a surprise that they lasted as long as they did. I mean, really, for just a minute, just being a complete pig here. She's way hotter than him. They say you never marry more than two above your respective rank. Like if you're a 5, the best that you could ever marry is a 7, because if you marry a 10, you'll both be unhappy. Well, Kellyanne, especially as a young woman, was a very, very beautiful woman, and she's still a very beautiful woman. George Conway looks like a thumb in a merkin.
Yeah, he's kind of shaped like a bowling pin.
They don't match. The politics aside, they don't match. I've got a picture here from NBC News of the two of them outside of some club in 2017, and he looks like he's her driver.
Oh, okay, that's just mean. That's mean, but accurate.
So that because they knew that this was inevitably going to get public attention, they did release a statement. They shared it to Twitter saying that they are in the final stages of an amicable divorce because, of course, that's what people do. When you get along really well, you file for divorce.
Of course.
Quote, "We were married more than 2 decades ago. Cherish the many happy years and 4 corgis we've shared. And above all else, the dogs got mentioned before the kids. And above all else, our 4 incredible children who remain the heartbeat of our family and our top priority." I know their youngest daughter has made a little bit of a spectacle of herself, kind of pulling the covers on how those two did not get along. I'm not rooting for divorce here. I'm not rooting for a broken family here. I just don't understand, because the difference here is not conservatism. The difference here was the 1980 GOP platform versus the 2016 GOP platform. George is one of those old school Reaganite Republicans, and Kellyanne went all in for Trump. Are these two in any way a bellwether of what's to come with the party?
Well, that's a question. If it's to come, I would argue that it's already there. For example, I am more conservative than I've ever been.
Yeah.
But I stopped considering myself a Republican in between 92 to 94.
Okay.
I just still conservative, didn't like the leadership at the time. Quite frankly, Newt Gingrich did it for me.
Gingrich did it for a lot of people.
Yeah, because I was looking at that going, I'm sorry, if this mean, vicious, ugly person, and I don't mean ugly as in looks, but just his soul was ugly in my opinion. If he's the heart and soul of the Republican Party, I'm not a Republican anymore. I become more conservative since then.
Yeah.
But I don't know that really applies to these two.
Well, that's the thing. They're both conservative. They're just the two kinds of conservative we have on display now. In terms of the biggest chunks of the Republican Party, because you've got all of those smaller factions, but in terms of the two dominant chunks of the party, Kellyanne Conway represents MAGA Republicans. George Conway represents, I think, all of the Republicans who are now NPP registrants and are looking towards Ron DeSantis to be the cure to what ails the problem, to what ails the party.
That's a pretty good point. I don't know that it matters.
No, well,
but it's a pretty good point, because that subject in and of itself, regardless of whether or not they're symbols of what's happening, what you describe is real. That is something that liberals frequently drive as a wedge against Republicans. I have had lots of conversations with people on the left who have tried to persuade me to come over their side because I didn't vote for Trump. It's like, well, if you didn't vote for Trump, then you got to come with us and vote with all this. No, absolutely not. Just because I disagreed with the personality of a particular candidate does not mean that I have given up my conservative values. If anything, I'm more conservative.
Well, and that was what you're talking about is why I voted for the Libertarian candidate in the 16 and the 20 elections, because I was not ever going to vote for the clown shoes on display courtesy of the DNC. I'm not going to give up the Republic because I disagree with the guy who's going for the driver's seat. And I knew that Trump was going to win it in 2016. It might be that the attention being paid to these two and their domestic situation is that left-wing wish casting. Because you bring up the point, how many liberals talk about, well, there's the far right, and there's the normal Republicans, and maybe we need to get the normal Republicans to come over here. Meanwhile, they've got this lunatic circus tent full of every goofball and freak show in the Western world. Is the hard right too far right for moderate Republicans? Can the Reagan Republicans reconcile with the MAGA Republicans? Is somebody like DeSantis adequate to heal that rift? Because I've just got a funny feeling someday we are going to learn that this divorce, this wasn't about the kids. This certainly wasn't about the money. I don't even think this was about Kellyanne's job assignment or their politics. I think this comes down to, at some point they got into an argument and George Conway looked her in the eye and used the turn of phrase, alternative facts, and she just lost it.
You could be very right on that. You have brought up some excellent points. You made me think.
But these two, I mean, look, this is two human beings. They're flawed, they're imperfect, they are their own thing. But in the party, are the Reagan Republicans close enough to MAGA to reconcile and move forward with a new candidate?
Well, this Reagan Republican, I voted for Reagan twice.
Yeah.
In my opinion, with the exception of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan was the greatest president we've ever had. That's my assessment of him. Could I vote for a Ron DeSantis? Yes. If Trump was on the ticket again, I'd vote for Pedro again, because that's who I voted for. And I'll also be honest, though, and say the reason I did that was because my presidential vote does not matter in this deep blue state. I could vote my conscience. I could be an idiot and vote for a high school president candidate in a B movie from the last decade. I could stand on my moral principles and say, I voted for Pedro and not Trump, but only because my vote doesn't matter.
I don't want our votes to not matter, and I understand the math for why that is. I don't know what it takes to steer California away from the skid that it is in, or if that's even possible. But in terms of reconciling the party and moving forward, if we keep losing the George Conways to NPP registration and diving off of the ticket, the country's going to follow California. If we can't reconcile, America becomes Kelly and George's daughter. Which tracks because it just turns into a bunch of people on TikTok complaining about their parents.
Good points.
And taking a look at Monday afternoon traffic, Highway 168 is still closed eastbound at Auberry Road. On 41, chains are required from Big Cedar Springs. Yosemite is still closed. And Highway 180, chains are required 9 miles west of Highway 245. In the Fresno area, northbound 41 at the Bullard Avenue off-ramp, there's been a collision with no injuries. And Hill Avenue at east-south, this is south of Fresno, there has been an injury accident. And in Porterville, East Tyler, just east of Connor, a collision with no injuries. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
This is Christina Musan. Over the last 7 years, Closets by Design has organized 5 of my closets, a garage, a mudroom, and even my wine storage in not 1, but 2 of my homes. I keep going back time and again because they make organization easy, which in return makes my life easy. From the initial design appointment to installation, customer service and your satisfaction is their priority. If you want proof, you know you can always go to my Facebook page and see the quality for yourself. And maybe you've already done that and thought to yourself, I can't afford that. Well, that's not true, especially right now. Mention you heard this ad on KMJ and you'll get 40% off and 18 months interest-free financing. What better time to give Closets by Design a call? 453-7034. That's 453-7034. Check them out online at closetsbydesign.com. Closets by Design. Don't just imagine it. Make your home beautifully organized.
And let me tell you, it's been a real adventure dealing with the Zuber team and the potential sale of my home on Van Ness. 2903 Van Ness. Hint, hint, it's gorgeous, 2 stories. It's over 100 years old. I've done much to it, and I want you to live there. Get a hold of the Zuber team, please. I used a couple of programs to make sure I could get into the condominium that I wanted to in kind of an expeditious, quickie way. The Zuber team has a number of programs that can help you out. If you have to move on now, ask the Zuber team to give you an instant cash offer on the place that you're selling. With the Zuber team, you can buy before you sell. Ask about the trade-up program. Darren and Daryl will take care of you and any other of the Zuber team members. The Zuber team with Real Broker has been at it since 1971. They've sold close to 7,000 homes. They have hundreds of 5-star reviews between Google and Zillow. Click Zuber Team, Z-U-B-E-R, zuberteam.com, or Google Zuber Team. They're so easy to find, and they're easier to work with.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Josh, quote, "After walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navage. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much mucus, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air, I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
The California Mid-State Fair is pleased to present an evening of music and wine featuring Styx, July 28th, the California Mid-State Fair in Paso Robles. Take a trip through the music and relive the classics live. Friday, July 28th, the California Mid-State Fair in Paso Robles. Sticks, with one hit song after another. Reserve seats on sale Friday, March 10th at 10 a.m. at midstatefair.com. Sticks. Don't miss Sticks. Presented by the California Mid-State Fair.
That cruiser is pure gold.
Right you are, Daddy-O. Chuck Chansey Gold. It's the $600,000 Cruisin' Camaro giveaway. There are winners every day, February 27th through April 28th. Only at Chuck Chansey Gold Resort and Casino.
News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. This is the Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi there. I'm E. Curtis Johnson. And, boy, this is one of those stories that kind of hits you in the gut because on the surface, it just looks like another let's get Trump thing.
Yeah.
But in reality, whether or not a sitting president, of course he's not sitting now, but whether or not a president can be sued for something that he said in office is in the news. So the whole thing, it goes back to the January 6th thing. There's a Defense Department memo that it's a Justice Department memo, and it has to do with whether or not Donald J. Trump, as the President of the United States, can be sued by the people who were injured on the insurrection, as it's called, at the U.S. Capitol.
So to be clear, this isn't a legal opinion about whether or not the president can be prosecuted criminally. This is about whether or not somebody with cause can attempt to hold him liable civilly.
Yes. And the reason why that's dangerous, and the reason why, and again, not a lawyer here, I only know enough about this to talk about it on the radio for a couple of minutes. But it's a big enough issue because think about it. What if the president could be sued, a sitting president could be sued, or even when they're out of office for something that they said and did? I mean, you think about all of the opportunities that a president of the United States, regardless of who it is, left or right. Let's just talk about the office of president. Let's say you're the president, Philip. So you're the president of the United States. Now, I've known you for long enough to know that you're going to tick a couple of people off because that's who you are, and that's why we're friends. So,
go ahead.
If you could be bogged down in a lawsuit as the president of the United States, would you ever get anything done in your oath of office?
If I'm understanding the decision from the DOJ, the president, the office of the president and the person occupying that role, there's a lot of latitude on communicating with the public. But the way that they phrase it in this decision is, quote, no part of a president's official responsibilities includes the incitement of imminent private violence. By definition, such conduct plainly falls outside the president's constitutional and statutory duties. So if I, as president, advocate for, let's go back to the Trump administration and the advocacy on the heels of Project Warp Speed when he got the vaccines to market for the coronavirus. We now know that the vaccines were wildly successful, and they did a tremendous amount of good for the vast majority of people who had comorbidities and took them. We also know that in particular in younger patients, there was an issue with and I'm forgetting the proper word for it. There's a medical term that starts with an M, but it was swelling of the heart as an organ, and it was
a side effect.
Yeah, it was a side effect, and it was a passing side effect. A lot of people experienced this temporary condition, and it went away, and they're none the worse for having had it, even if they felt very poorly slightly longer having had the vaccine. You can't sue the president or the ex-president who advocated for that because he was doing his job trying to promote the public welfare. The presupposition in this decision is that somebody can make a complaint that the president incited private violence. In other words, the DOJ is saying in a very roundabout way that they believe that Donald Trump did use language that incited violence on January 6th.
Yes, and consequently, the Capitol police officers who are injured can now sue.
They can sue, but that means that they then must convince a jury that Trump said what he said with the intention of inciting violence, and it was what Trump said that led to the behavior that led to their injury.
Yes, but the quick research, and I do emphasize quick on this, no president of the United States, this is a new precedent. No president of the United States can be sued for what they've said, for the very reason that if they could be sued, there would be lawsuit upon lawsuit upon lawsuit. His enemies would pile against him. They would bog him down in the courts and with lawyers. And so the pretext on this one is, well, no president has ever been responsible, they claim, for Capitol police officers being injured. And so they're opening this door. They think they found a crack that they're going to ram this through.
Well, I think that this goes to what we've heard talked about mainly in the conservative media, the weaponization of federal law enforcement. Because if you are issuing a decision that opens this doorway, because it's opening the doorway, which is a teensy tiny crack, because it's specifically saying that no part of the president's official responsibilities includes the incitement of imminent private violence. That implies that the DOJ is treating as a foregone conclusion that Trump is guilty of that incitement. And that's either a big tip of the hand in terms of what they have planned for Trump criminally, or it is an opportunity to drain his coffers before 2024?
Well, yes, both of those are true. But the bigger issue is the legal precedent that it would set. And going forward, you could literally tie a president's hands down. You could tie him up in so many lawsuits that he wouldn't get his job done.
That's E. Curtis Johnson. I'm Philip Teresi. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 490-5858 or 800-776-5858. Is this the weaponization that we have heard talked about in the media? Is the DOJ, by issuing this ruling, putting responsibility for January 6th onto the shoulders of Donald Trump, while also, as E pointed out, establishing a dangerous precedent for the commander-in-chief moving forward? News time now. Here's Jim Miller.
KMJ News now.
It's 4:30 in Fresno. I'm Joe Miller in the KMJ News Center. Fresno County Fire responding to the report of a residential fire south of Fresno this morning. It was reported at about 7:30 near Lincoln and Elm Avenues in Easton. When crews arrived, they found a fully engulfed outbuilding. Fire crews quickly knocked down the flames, and the fire did not spread to any homes. 2 nearby schools impacted because streets were closed for about an hour. Good news, there were no injuries. Hundreds of students in mountain communities are taking a snow day. Bass Lake School District canceling classes today for OES, OCI, Wazuma, and Fresno Flats because all the snow, making it impossible to reach bus stops. Mariposa County Unified School District also told kids to stay home after the governor's state of emergency. Same for all schools in Yosemite Unified District except River Gold Elementary. Several Republican members of Congress were in Texas today for an up-close look at the issues at the southern border. More from Fox's Gernal Scott.
Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez says he's hosted 16 of these border visits, and the issues remain the same, from drug trafficking to areas cartels use
to bring people over illegally.
Florida Congresswoman Maria Salazar says those cartels use what they have to evade agents.
Better infrastructure, better manpower, and better technology.
The Biden administration has said the border is secure. Florida Congressman Aaron Bean says of that claim,
that is horse hockey. That is absolutely false.
Congressman Gonzalez says he's sponsoring a bill that labels cartels as terror groups in light of news of 4 Americans being kidnapped in Mexico last week. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Now the forecast from Fox 26 is Justin Willis.
We've got another atmospheric river headed our way later this week. Heavy rain expected on the valley floor Friday, along with rapid snowmelt in the Sierra, leading to a threat of flooding Thursday night through Saturday. And that's for the foothills and mountains below 8,000 feet. Until then, a little break from the rain for a couple of days. Mostly sunny with afternoon highs in the mid to upper 50s through Thursday, still below normal. Overnight lows are in the mid 30s. For KMJ, from the Fox 26 Weather Center, I'm Justin Willis.
With news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks, and always streaming at KMJNow.com, I'm Jim Miller for News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ.
Have a couple of incidents here in the Fresno metro area, northbound 41 at Bullard Avenue on the off-ramp, a collision with no injuries. At Hill Avenue and East South, this is south of Fresno, there has been an injury accident. In Porterville, East Tyler, just east of Connor, a collision with no injuries. And in the Visalia area, the 25,000 block of Copica, there's been a collision with no injuries involved. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
That cruiser is pure gold.
Right you are, Daddy-O. Chuck Chansey Gold. It's the $600,000 Cruisin' Camaro giveaway. There are winners every day, February 27th through April 28th, only at Chuck Chansey Gold Resort and Casino.
Gar Bennett stocks growers' favorite brands and generics on hand and ready for delivery. This is Christina Mousson with Gar Bennett. Wondering where to go and what to buy for problems in the field? Call Gar Bennett. We can help you with all your growing needs on time and on budget. Whether your issues are irrigation, disease, or pests, we have the products that keep fields fit and make growers profitable. And don't take risks. Our regulatory compliance teams are experts at training and keeping your team safe and ready in the field and packing house. Don't risk costly fines and injuries. Be prepared and call today. Grow with Gar Bennett, the growing experts for the best water, irrigation, nutrition, regulatory, and crop care advice and products at 800-696-6108 and online at garbennett.com. Gar Bennett, we help growers feed the world at 800-696-6108 and online at garbennett.com.
What a year it's been for Best Concrete Blocks. Seems like everybody's finding a way to use these versatile and affordable blocks. Walls, barriers, material separation, they're nearly indestructible, and now Best Concrete Blocks is introducing Pretty Boy, a great choice for adding an aesthetically appealing block with a beautiful stonemason's design. The Pretty Boy block is perfect for areas that have public visibility. See Pretty Boy for yourself at bestconcreteblocks.com or call 288-7902.
Hi, I'm Scott Miller, President and CEO of the Fresno Chamber of Commerce, and I want to invite you to the Mobagunu Memorial Golf Classic on Thursday, March 30th at Sunnyside Country Club. What better place to do business than on the golf course? With over $100,000 in hole-in-one prize money and a chance to win a new car, this will be a golf tournament you don't want to miss. Foursomes are selling fast, so sign up today. Registration and sponsorships available now at FresnoChamber.com. That's FresnoChamber.com.
Farmers and growers, are you looking to find the best agricultural resources in one location? Get connected with more than 30 agricultural companies, from everyday products to custom farm services. Give the Ag Center a call at 209-454-5700. The Ag Center offers farmers throughout California assistance and support to help take on the daily challenges of farm management. Learn more on how the Ag Center can help you at www.theagcenter.com.
Donate your old vehicle to carsforkids.org, the best car vehicle donation program. Your generosity changes the lives of kids right here in our community with a second chance to build a better future. Before you sell or give away that old vehicle in any condition, please donate it to carsforkids.org. Carsforkids.org takes cars, trucks, motorcycles. Pickup is free, plus you'll get a $50 Visa gift card as a special thank you. It's so easy to donate at carsforkids.org. Please, write off the car, not the kids.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Find everything you love listening to on Audible. Hear celebrity memoirs, mysteries, true crime, sci-fi, and more. Audible is the home of storytelling, audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
KMJ's Afternoon Drive continues right now. Here's Philip and E.
Roll through your 4 o'clock hour at News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ. I'm Philip Teresi. That's E. Curtis Johnson. We're glad to have you along for the ride. Talking about this decision from the Department of Justice saying that former President Trump can be sued for things that he said while president, but specifically in this decision that they have, or this opinion that they have authored, when the speech is related to the incitement of imminent private violence. In other words, they're saying that Donald Trump could be sued for inciting January 6th.
Well, specifically because Capitol police officers were injured.
Yes. There's two problems here, in my opinion, and one is exactly what you're talking about, that when you open the floodgates to suing the President of the United States, even if it is requisite that all lawsuits have to wait until they're out of office, you have just chilled the ability of the chief executive and the commander-in-chief to speak plainly and freely under almost any circumstance, because this is a litigious country. People will sue him for, rolling his eyes at a snotty comment, much less popping off about protesters at a political rally.
Exactly.
My other problem is it provides cover to the people who actually committed the crime. If I hear somebody say, hey, forgive me for getting Karl Marxy here for a minute. You hear somebody start screaming and yelling about seizing the means of production. And so I go down the hall and punch Blake Taylor in the nose because he won't give me what I want to, be a disc jockey. Blake's not going to sue the moron that said the dumb thing. He's going to fire me and sue me to get his nose fixed. Because I'm responsible for the choice that I made. Just because somebody said a thing or is accused of having said a thing doesn't mean that I'm not responsible for having taken that thing that they said and acted upon it. Even in the case of the President of the United States, we don't live in an autocratic society. We don't have an authoritarian ruler. I don't have to do what the president says just because the president says it, whether it's positive or negative. Whether you're talking about getting a vaccine or marching on the Capitol to complain about the outcome of an election. I don't have to do what he says.
How dare you use common sense in the year 2023? How dare you have sane, rational thoughts?
Do I think that Trump could have handled January 6th better? I do. I think that some of the phrasing that he used as the reality of the situation became apparent. I think he was a little too gentle with how he addressed the protesters and especially the rioters. I don't think that the cosplay goofballs with their 511 tactical and their White Claws in their bulletproof vest were acting under the orders of the President of the United States. These guys were an accident looking for a place to happen. The Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, all of them, they'd all been looking for an opportunity to go out and do this, what I think in their head is militiaman thing, but just comes off like a bunch of grown men trying to play Batman.
Yeah, except generally when you play Batman, you don't have actual weapons of multiple varieties in your hand.
Oh, yeah, of course. But those two organizations are a huge disappointment. As far as the Proud Boys, I've always thought of the whole thing as just a troll that got out of control. The Oath Keepers started with this really interesting, principled, constitutional foundation, the idea that you took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. And you should be responding to those threats seriously and in a sober and strong way. And Stuart Rhodes went completely off the rails, and it started to turn into something very, very different. It started to turn into actually actively trying to undermine the Constitution. And I don't know if that came out of misinformation or ego, but Stuart Rhodes was planning to this nonsense on January 6th weeks before Donald Trump said anything about marching on the Capitol. His off-the-cuff commentary that afternoon, those guys didn't borrow Mr. Scott's transporter to fill a hotel room with guns in 15 minutes. Shouldn't that be who's held responsible? If you're going to sue somebody, shouldn't you be going after Stuart Rhodes and what's his face, Enrique from Proud Boys?
Well, sure, but if you're trying to, put the final nail in a former president that you hate, if you're trying to change literally the course of the future, you do what is happening here and suggest that they ought to be able to sue the president.
Tell me if I'm out of line. That sounds to me like you have the feeling that at least part of the Department of Justice at this point is compromised and that it's behaving as a political animal instead of a law enforcement entity.
Yeah, it's now a weapon for the left.
That's a scary thought. What is there a solution? Because look, I'll stand by what I said. Trump could have handled things better on January 6th. However, using January 6th as this wedge to try and attack Trump from yet another vector. If the Department of Justice is doing that, if there are elements in our federal law enforcement apparatus that are acting politically, do we have to scrap the whole thing? Do we have to have a purge? I mean, I don't want to get into McCarthyism here, but at some point, don't we need to weed that out?
Well, sure. And again, not an attorney, don't even play one on TV, but that's why we have a Supreme Court. Now, on my first day on the show, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if this gets any traction, the Supreme Court has to step in. I'd love to hear an actual legal opinion on it.
Yeah, we got to dig up it. Josh, if you can, find a constitutional lawyer. Maybe get in touch with Mackay over at San Joaquin College of Law, see if she can hook us up with somebody that can speak to that. Tomorrow. We don't need him right now. It's a chilling thought to think that the Department of Justice can be used that way. And it's not the first time that we've seen law enforcement in this country get undermined by political or social considerations ahead of what it was they're supposed to be doing. It bothers me deeply that Stuart Rhodes might have been at least partially justified in founding the Oath Keepers the way that he did.
Yeah, that's a chilling thought.
490-5858, 800-776-5858. David, I see you there. We're going to get to his call in just a minute. We'll talk to you as well. Is this decision that evidence? Is this decision a step in the direction of sending this to the Supreme Court to determine whether or not a president can be held culpable for their behavior while in office? Your calls are on the way on the afternoon drive at News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ. If you're still getting bugged by that bad FM signal, I got another email about it this morning. We're working on it. We just either we got to get a snowcat or the aforementioned teleporter to get engineering up there. In the meantime, two ways to go. Head over to 580 AM, which is sounding as good as ever, or get the new app in the Google Play and iOS stores. Just search for KMJ Now.
And taking a look at afternoon traffic at Shaw and Northwest here in Fresno, there's been an injury accident. Emergency vehicles are on the scene in Merced, Healy Road, and East Sandy Mush Road. An appropriate name for this road right now because there is roadway flooding. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
That cruiser is pure gold.
Right you are, Daddy-O. Chuck Chansey Gold. It's the $600,000 cruisin' Camaro giveaway. There are winners every day, February 27th through April 28th. Only at Chuck Chansey Gold Resort and Casino.
When I want my company name and or logo on a coffee mug or a mouse pad or polo or t-shirt or award plaque, better yet, 1,000 coffee mugs, mouse pads, or shirts, even 1,000 award plaques, I'm ready to go. But who do I go with? Oh, do I really have to tell you? It's right here on the tip of my tongue. Hello, California Embroidery. This is so easy. You walk in, Blackstone and Herndon, Fresno. You walk out with anything from apple-colored coffee mugs to zebra-striped golf towels. That's right, A to Z. All with your company's logo proudly emblazoned on each. Since 1995, California Embroidery has taken your ideas and made them amazing. Create something fantastic. Call California Embroidery, 447-5304. 447-5304. That's 447-5304. California Embroidery.
I have to say this. I am personally astounded how the Glass Shop in Visalia continues to do everything right. They're making some amazing business decisions, and that's great for you. Okay, so what now? No tax whatsoever on any windows up until April 15th. That'll save you plenty right there, especially if you got a big job. No taxes. They'll front that bill with Uncle Sam. You don't worry about it. Next, Scott has become kind of a living legend in this business of windows and doors and all of this stuff. He needs a title, like, shall we call him the Wizard of Windows? When he comes to your home, he'll tell you before you even know what you need, and this is blowing people's minds. He'll tell you what type of window. He'll tell you what brand. Now, you ultimately make the decision, but this guy knows. And the Glass Shop has windows that have a double lifetime warranty. You sell your home, and whoever buys the home gets that warranty as well. And they'll get it done like in 3 to 4 weeks, where most companies take 2 to 3 months. Click theglassshop.com. It's that simple. The Glass Shop in Visalia. Click theglassshop.com. There you go. Tax-free, don't forget.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-932-4177. 800-932-4177. 800-932-4177.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Breaking news.
Tax refund shock is everywhere, but what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too. The culprit? Pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this reporter's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Going there now.
50% off is a limited-time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
1922 was the first iteration of the KMJ call letters.
It's a walking, talking, mobile piece of history.
The signal goes from Sacramento to the Grapevine to the coast.
When KMJ went on the air, people didn't have radios.
Do I have my old radio voice? Whatever happened to Craig Mullison?
So it's got a tremendous heritage that is hard to replicate.
But again, I ask, whose threat is that going to be? Radio was never a thing for me. And the irony is, I had an art teacher at McLean. When he signed my graduation yearbook, he just out of the blue, he wrote, "Good luck in radio and TV." And I'm like, what the hell is this? And he goes, "Trust me."
If you had to come up with one word to describe KMJ, it would be stable.
100 years of KMJ. Premieres Thursday, March 30th at 7 p.m. on Valley PBS.
News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. This is the Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson. So if you've just joined us, we're talking about the potential weaponization of the Department of Justice. So the Department of Justice has just ruled that President Trump can be sued for injuries incurred by some of the Capitol police officers. Unprecedented legally, not an attorney, don't play one on TV, but unprecedented legally that a former president or a sitting president could be sued.
This cannot be the first time that somebody has proposed litigation against a former United States president. I mean, I think back to Nixon, and of course, at that era, I don't imagine there would have been quite the same appetite for it. But everything in my lifetime, we've had a contentious enough political environment. I mean, you think about the stuff that folks went through after either of the Bush administrations, after the Clinton administration. And so far as I know, none of those lawsuits ever even were admitted before a judge. There's simply no standing.
I have been a news junkie most of my life, and I don't want to tell you how old I am, but it's been a number of years. I can't think of a time where this has ever even come up before.
490.
Could be very wrong, but I just can't think of one.
490-5858. David checking in here. Welcome to KMJ.
Hey, Philip. How you doing? Thank you all for taking my call. First of all, good signal coming through on the FM side.
Good.
Clear. It sounds a lot better. Sounds a lot better than it was. You guys are doing great. Next thing, the whole situation with Trump coming up in civil suits. They'll take him to court. He'll write it out in court. He's got deep pockets. He'll bleed him. He'll bleed him through. He'll end up settling, and he'll be brought up on, he'll be put on the trial or whatever it is. Like, again, I'm not no lawyer, but there's a thing called libel, and I think that's pretty much what it is. I mean, if he was to say something like he did behind closed doors and personally one mouth to another, it's theirs against his, but he put that on national TV. And the other thing, too, it's like, why aren't they bringing up Giuliani? I mean, come on, he's sitting there yelling trial by combat and go over there down Pennsylvania. I mean, Giuliani should be brought into this, too. That he's a knucklehead. And, I mean, I just think I understand here in the U.S. everybody gets sued for anything, but when you're sitting in that position right there, I think a little bit more responsibility and better example should be done on his part. You're totally right. You should have handled it a lot different.
David, thank you so much for calling. Nice to talk to you. And just for the sake of discussion, and I don't want to pounce on you or beat you up, but it's the Department of Justice, a branch of the executive wing of our legal system, our government. The Department of Justice has got deep pockets also, because all of those guys are on salary. This isn't a civil suit. This is not one of those suits that have been brought against Trump because somebody didn't like one of the apartments that he built or one of the buildings that he built. This is a wing of the government potentially suing a former president.
And that goes to that weaponization element. Is this the beginning of the Department of Justice going after him? Are they going to leave it to the officers who were injured to bring their own suits or to file as a class action? Ultimately, I agree with you. It's setting a very, very dangerous precedent. We have a solution for a politician who does not act the way that the American people believe that a politician should act. It's called an election.
Yes, sir.
Peter checking in from the coast, and he says that for those of you that are suffering through the AM signal being a little wonky, the 580 AM signal, 100 years old, 101 this month, doing just fine on the waterline. Peter, thank you for listening. It's the Afternoon Drive with E. Curtis Johnson and Philip Teresi. This is KMJ.
Missed part of the show? Get the Afternoon Drive podcast at kmjnow.com or by searching KMJ's Afternoon Drive in Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Inflation goes up. Do you feel like you need to refinance your car to fill up the gas tank? What if 2 years ago, someone offered to sell you a lifetime supply of gas at $2.75 a gallon, but you told them no? Today, you would be kicking yourself. Right now, Planet Solar has that same offer for you on your electric bill. As inflation goes up, so does your utility bill. Lock in your energy prices today with a new Planet Solar system. Planet Solar is locally owned and operated in Clovis. They're big enough to offer you all the best brands and in-house financing, but small enough to give you the personal service you deserve. Call Planet Solar to find out how to lock in your electricity costs today. You'll be glad you did. Call them at 559-228-9245 or find them on the web at planetsolar.com. That's 228-9245 or planetsolar.com. License number 938313.
United Health Centers in Kingsburg is accepting new patients. We welcome you to make a medical appointment at this beautiful new health center located in downtown Kingsburg on 1251 Draper Street. Our providers care for patients of all ages and offer pediatric services to help your family be as healthy as possible. Call us today at 1-800-492-4227. 1-800-492-4227. United Health Centers. Wellness for a lifetime.
In order for small businesses to thrive, they need to be smart, efficient, agile, staying ahead of the market at every turn, and finding ways to do more with less. That's never been more important than it is right now. So for a limited time, Comcast Business is introducing Small Business Savings, a deal for companies across the country. When you call in now, you can get powerful internet for just $39 a month for 12 months. $39 a month, with no annual contract and a money-back guarantee. All on the largest, fastest, reliable network for small businesses, with the company that powers more businesses than anyone else. So if you're a small business owner, don't wait. Call and get started today. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Offer ends 3/21/23. Restrictions apply. New Comcast Business 50 megabits per second internet customers only. Requires EcoBill and AutoPay. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Call or go online for details. After promo, regular rates apply.
That cruiser is pure gold.
Right you are, Daddy-O. Chuck Chansey Gold. It's the $600,000 Cruisin' Camaro giveaway. There are winners every day, February 27th through April 28th. Only at Chuck Chansey Gold Resort and Casino.
The original KMJ, 580 AM, 105.9 FM, Fresno, a Cumulus media station.
It's 5 o'clock in Fresno. Good afternoon. I'm Joe Miller here in the KMJ News Center. Here's what's going on. The massive amount of snow at Shaver Lake bringing traffic to a standstill. State Route 168 is so covered, some crews can't even see the road. They're working around the clock to clear the snow and reopen the highway, but there's no timeline when that's going to happen. Only those who live or work in the area being allowed through with proof. Last check, 300 homes still without power. Crews are working to get it all restored. California cutting ties with the nation's second largest pharmacy. KMJ's Liz Kern explains.
Governor Gavin Newsom tweeting that California won't be doing business with Walgreens, saying, "We're done." Walgreens won't distribute the abortion pill in states that threaten legal action, saying they just don't want to get involved. A letter was sent by 21 conservative-led states threatening lawsuits against Walgreens under a Civil War-era law if they provide the abortion drug mifepristone, as allowed by the federal government. The Comstock Act from 1873 prohibits the mailing of any substance that can cause an abortion. On Twitter, Governor Gavin Newsom says the state won't do business with any company that, quote, cowers to the extremists and puts women's lives at risk, end quote. Liz Kern, KMJ News.
A Fresno officer recovering from being shot at his bulletproof vest. Police say a wanted suspect opened fire Saturday night. They chased him and rammed his car near Herndon and Ingram Avenues. Officers fired back. They killed the man. They say he's a known felon with 6 active warrants. Chase began when he refused to pull over for a traffic stop. According to police, they're asking for surveillance, cell or phone video of this incident. From California to across the country, farmers are learning more about safety this week. KMJ Ag Director Don York reports.
This is Agricultural Safety Awareness Week. To help out, agricultural safety and health centers will join farm bureaus across the country to promote ag safety. Each day has a different focus this week, beginning with mental health, followed by preventative health care, safety culture, situational awareness, and temperature-related safety. American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duvall is encouraging farmers and ranchers to take the time to make safety a priority during this week and throughout the year. Visit the center's YouTube channel for new content about staying safe. John York, KMJ News.
Now the forecast from Fox 26's Justin Willis.
We've got another atmospheric river headed our way later this week. Heavy rain expected on the valley floor Friday, along with rapid snowmelt in the Sierra, leading to a threat of flooding Thursday night through Saturday. And that's for the foothills and mountains below 8,000 feet. Until then, a little break from the rain for a couple of days. Mostly sunny with afternoon highs in the mid to upper 50s through Thursday, still below normal. Overnight lows are in the mid 30s. For KMJ, from the Fox 26 Weather Center, I'm Justin Willis.
With news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks, and always streaming at KMJNow.com. I'm Jim Miller for News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ.
And taking a look at traffic in the Hanford area, 14th Avenue and Fargo Avenue. There has been a traffic collision, no injuries involved there. Northbound 99 at the Jensen Avenue off-ramp, there's traffic control being administered at this time. In Merced, Healy Road, and Sandy Mush Road, there is flooding going on, so it's kind of making Sandy Mush Road kind of mushy. Shaw and Northwest here in the Fresno area, an injury accident. Emergency vehicles are on the scene. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
That cruiser is pure gold.
Right you are, Daddy-O. Chuck Chansey Gold. It's the $600,000 Cruisin' Camaro giveaway. There are winners every day, February 27th through April 28th. Only at Chuck Chansey Gold Resort and Casino.
Now, KMJ's Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson.
5:05, News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ. Welcome to Hour 4 of the Monday installment of Your Afternoon Drive. Phones are open, 490-5858. Toll free, you can join us at 800-776-5858. Find the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Drive KMJ, and find it streaming on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch.tv, also at Drive KMJ. Joshua Weekly is standing by to screen your calls this afternoon as I join my new partner, E. Curtis Johnson, in the KMJ studios.
Hey, Philip, thank you very much.
Thank you. I am thrilled that you took this job, man.
Only half as thrilled as I am. and it's interesting to say new partner, considering we've known each other since 1997.
Yeah, it's I have said with absolute sincerity, there's a couple of things, and I'm sure that somebody who's heard me say them thinks that it's contrivance, and it's not. It's the God's honest truth. This job doesn't exist without the audience, and my gratitude for them can never be overstated. If you guys aren't here, if you aren't listening, if you aren't telling friends about it, I don't exist. This job doesn't exist, and so my gratitude for that is immeasurable. This is a stupid and weird way to make a living. And every 3 months, I find out whether or not I get to keep doing it, because every 3 months the ratings books come out, and that determines whether or not I'm going to keep doing it.
Yep.
It's a dumb, weird way to make a living, and I literally can't imagine myself doing anything else. And the final thing, and I've said this, and people think I'm kidding. There's no plan. There was no plan. I showed up to ask you for a job on a lark 25, 26 years ago, and here we are. There's no plan. I just keep showing up and stuff keeps happening. And I'm grateful and I'm overjoyed, and I just can't overstate my appreciation for you, for Chris, who literally walked me in the door there and here, and for folks like Blake Taylor and Patty that let us keep doing it.
Yeah, I can relate. I was on the verge of having to get a real job again. I've had real jobs; they suck.
Boy, isn't that the truth? I don't know which I liked less, setting tile or HR.
That's a tough one.
Just dull, weird. Actually, setting tile, like setting and patching tile, like for the sake of the craftsmanship, can be very, very satisfying. Going to tract homes where whiny, entitled, outraged homeowners want to scream at you for 45 minutes before you replace the piece of 4x4 that they dropped a pan on, that part I could do without.
That's understandable.
But yeah, I don't know. When the wheels come off this thing, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no education.
Well, how about if we focus on doing a successful show rather than the paranoid hole you've fallen into on my first day working with you?
Yeah, I suppose that would probably be a better route to take.
Focus, man, focus.
It's the thought that's in the back of my mind every day when I open my eyes and every night when I close them. This story out of the Associated Press kind of takes us up to the Bay Area. A man has been arrested, Peter Karasev. He's 36 years old, and he's been charged with blowing up 2 transformers, Pacific Gas and Electric transformers. He knocked out power to thousands of people up in the Bay Area. And it was down to San Jose PD finally wrangling this guy in. They searched his house. They turned up explosives along with what they're describing as an inactive meth lab. Nobody was physically injured as a result of the blasts, the first on December 8th, the second on January 5th. But he's got arson charges, exploding a destructive device, destroying an electrical line, possessing material with the intent to create destructive device, that all coming from the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office. And he's being held without bail, which in that jurisdiction is kind of remarkable in and of itself. But this is now the second story that we've seen in as many weeks revolving around somebody or somebodies either blowing up transformers or plotting to blow up transformers. I don't spend a lot of time hanging out in domestic terrorist chat rooms. I'll be honest, I'm not even certain exactly how one finds oneself there. This is a really specific kind of crime. Is this going to be the new domestic terror headache?
Well, think about it. What would you do if the power went off at your house?
Fire up the generator.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you have a generator. Do most of your neighbors have generators?
Oh, no.
Okay, so, well, there you have it.
Yeah.
In terms of domestic terrorism, affecting the power grid is one of the most effective ways to disrupt society. Now, my hope on this guy is that he's just a single nutball.
A lone lunatic.
This lone wolf moron, and he's not part of something bigger.
One of the points of speculation when the Chinese spy balloon drama was unfolding, and we had that craft turn up over Montana to start and kind of drift its way out eventually to the Atlantic. One of the questions that was asked, and it's a reasonable question, was once you get past those ICBM fields up in Montana, what is there to see that you can't get off of Google Maps? I mean, most of this country, you can go to Google Maps and you can get a granular enough view to figure out what kind of car's in somebody's driveway. My theory goes to what you said. Disrupting the power grid is probably one of the most effective ways to cause domestic problems in the United States. I think that the Chinese were moving that thing around trying to figure out if they can get an EMP weapon into the sky over a sensitive area in the United States.
That's a good theory.
Because for as arrogant as I believe Xi Jinping is, I think that he knows that going to the nuclear option, it's mutually assured destruction. It's suicide. And I think that he knows that trying to mount any kind of land offensive in the United States, literally every other army in the world could combine together to come to the United States to launch a land war, and they don't have a chance in hell because we've got a gun for literally every pair of hands in this country.
Well, if they ever got here, I mean, considering the amount of ocean you'd have to go across, and
Yeah.
the United States Navy is still one of the most powerful in the world.
I know that FEMA and the agencies and Department of Homeland Security, these federal entities that deal with emergency planning, they have made explicit plans to deal with exactly that kind of attack, an electromagnetic pulse or a concentrated, orchestrated and deliberate attack on transformers, like what this idiot's doing, like what these two knuckleheads 2 weeks ago got caught doing. Does hearing a story like this, do you think that this will prompt people to go out and fortify their stuff? I mean, you buy a Sea Crane radio and some of those freeze-dried rations, or are we sitting on a ticking clock, and eventually we're going to learn whether or not that estimate of 9 days to societal breakdowns for real?
Wow. Asking that question on a Monday. Couldn't you have saved that till Thursday? But
Thursday's Comet Day.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so wow, you've spun a worst case scenario here.
Well, because it's been, I have heard it said often, and I don't know what the true origin of the figure is, but the idea that in the event of a failure of infrastructure, major urban centers are 9 days away from total social collapse. That there's enough food, there's enough water, there's enough comfort that you've got about a week and a half. But after a week and a half, things are going to be so dire. And I'm talking about a big city. I'm talking about New York, San Francisco, that kind of thing. That people are going to stop following the law and start behaving like animals. You know, in an area like Fresno, we've got a lot more country and we've got a lot more resources at our disposal simply for the hopping on the horse and asking. We won't run out of food here. We might all be bathing once a week, but we're not going to run out of food in Fresno. In San Francisco, they've got 7 to 9 days.
Yeah, for an urban center like that, I would question whether or not it's even that long. But let's be realistic here. We're talking about one dude.
Yeah.
This is not, for example, let's go back to, was it 2020 when I thought Antifa was going to burn the whole country down?
Yeah.
Now, I will admit I lost a little sleep over that one. I mean, not literally, but it really made me worry. Okay, is this how society really ends? It ends, at the hands of militants who are, supposedly protecting the country from fascists. Like there's a whole bunch of those really kicking around. That concerned me. One nutbag at a in the Bay Area, I'm not ready to push the panic button yet. But that's just me.
No, well, and I think that you're taking a much more measured response to this. I guess my motive to extrapolating out to the worst case scenario isn't so much the Chinese balloon. I think that everybody's ears are up so far as that goes. We're not going to see a repeat of that. But this is the second time that some dirty hillbilly with an inactive meth lab decided to go after transformers. And what I wonder is not, can these guys take down society? I don't think that a guy like this can take down society. I don't think that a guy like this can successfully take out a block of power grid in San Jose for an entire day. But is somebody putting the idea into their head? Where did we go from cooking meth and bitching about the government to transformers in two very separate cases? Is it a copycat, or is there somebody with a strategy behind it?
Okay, so not one, but two. That's a pretty small sample.
Sure.
I'm gonna go home tonight, and I'm gonna sleep really well.
Yeah, you're not going to Home Depot to get the generator?
I am not going to Home Depot to get the generator. I'm not going to Costco to stock up on whatever. I'm not worrying about that one, my friend.
Yeah, I'm not yet. No, if there's another one tomorrow, then do we head to Costco?
Yeah, we'll go to Costco together. All right.
That's E. Curtis Johnson. I'm Philip Teresi. It's your afternoon drive at News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. When we get back, the feds, speaking of power, have decided that while the extension paperwork is in process, Diablo Canyon will remain open. I think it's good news. We'll talk about it next on KMJ.
And looking at Monday afternoon traffic in East Fresno, North Temperance, and East Shields, there has been a collision with no injuries. Tulare County, Highway 65 at Avenue 24, a big rig is stuck on the right-hand side of the road. And in the Hanford area, 14th Avenue and Fargo Avenue, there's been a traffic collision, no injuries there either. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
I'm attorney Mark Capitan from the Capitan Brothers Law Firm. I hope you've tuned into my show here on KMJ each Saturday at noon. As attorneys, my brother Peter and I have been very successful at winning record-level personal injury awards. For years now, I've defended thousands of local people. In a time of personal difficulty, it's not always easy to know what to do. You need to be smart. Take the time and make the call. Ask for help. We have the solutions and we'll fight for you. Make the call to Capitan Brothers. You'll be doing yourself a favor. Call 559-498-8000 or click us online at capitanbrothers.com. If you've been in an accident, been injured, or in trouble, know you can trust the Capitan Brothers. The number again, 559-498-8000. This is attorney Mark Capitan inviting you to tune in to the Mark Capitan Show every Saturday at noon right here on KMJ.
Every time I, Ray Appleton, saunter into Lou Rodman's Patio Barstool and Amish Emporium, brand new, right next to Fashion Furniture across from Lowe's, the inventory grows and grows and grows. Let's remember, this began 18 years ago, all about bar stools. Central California needed bar stools. Now it's grown to where you can walk in and you can grab 2 or 22. They're in stock, they're ready to go. Throw them in the truck and you're out of there. One thing that Lou didn't have practically all last year was outdoor bar stools. He's got them. The supply chain fiasco is over with that little bit of inventory. Get them while he's got them. And the Amish inventory, it's expanded from beyond just Noah Bontrager, who's still doing outstanding things for Lou Rodman, to about 4 or 5 different lines. Amish bedroom sets on fire. Wait until you see these. Something that really caught my eye is the line of Barnwood leather living room furniture. Oh man. Bars, gaming tables, dining sets from everywhere. Lou Rodman's Patio, Barstool, and Amish Emporium, right next to Fashion Furniture.
The story of the nurse and the foot pain that nearly brought him down.
I feel like I'm giving people their lives back.
Robert lived to take care of his patients, but he couldn't do it unless he took care of his foot pain.
I have plantar fasciitis. It'll almost put you on your knees. That's how much it hurts.
His own recovery started when he got fitted for arch supports at the Good Feet store.
Now that I'm pain free, I can make these people feel better.
Can't beat that. Stop by or schedule your free fitting at goodfeet.com. The children's music and dance teacher who couldn't cha-cha.
I was always on my feet. It was just so painful.
Elisa couldn't let her students down, so she stepped up and went to the Good Feet store for personally fitted arch supports.
I would work an entire day, and my feet didn't hurt at the end of the day. That was when I knew, wow, these are different.
But the really good part?
It's good to be dancing together again.
Stop by or schedule your free fitting at goodfeet.com.
Step into your Good Feet store in Fresno, Merced, and Visalia. Good Feet, the official arch support of Fresno State Athletics.
Managing your online presence takes time, effort, and expertise. It can overwhelm even the savviest business owner. So, meet Cumulus Boost. We're experts at boosting the online presence for businesses of every type. We make sure potential customers can easily find you and really like what they find. Your website, online listings, consumer reviews, and more. Cumulus Boost, online at cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
California's acclaimed Harris Ranch Inn and Restaurant, among the first and largest farm-to-fork dining destinations in the San Joaquin Valley. It's the perfect drive-in or fly-in destination. Indulge in our prime steakhouse, where you'll enjoy our tender beef aged to perfection, or try our casual ranch kitchen for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Unwind in our Horseshoe Lounge, featuring your favorite cocktails, wine, and several beers on tap. Relax and enjoy an overnight stay in one of our spacious suites at the Harris Ranch Inn, where you'll experience first-class service. It's an oasis for travelers and locals alike. Join us where the West unwinds. Visit harrisranch.com.
News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. This is the Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi. I'm E. Curtis Johnson. So, big news in the power to our fair state This is I was shocked when I saw this. I was shocked. Federal government is going to allow Diablo Canyon to stay open for another 20 years. They were told to shut down, and finally somebody came to their senses and realized there is no way that California is ready to do without the power generated by this. Now, I did a little informal research. So, in preparing for today's show, I took a look at the Oracle of Google and looked for nuclear accidents in the United States. The only sources I can find are on Wikipedia.
I believe that.
Which I wouldn't trust anything that's on Wikipedia. I mean, you can put anything you want on Wikipedia. I do have some, I don't want to say experience with nuclear accidents, but let's just say I was in the hood, literally. So 3 Mile Island, which is the only nuclear, quote, accident, and I'm doing the air fingers in quote here, accident, happened in March of 1979. Unfortunately, there was a movie that came out at the same time called The China Syndrome, and it starred that bastion of conservative politics, Jane Fonda.
Oh, yeah.
And there are people today who still think that the China Syndrome was about 3 Mile Island. I kid you not. I know people who thought that, the reason why they made that movie was because of what happened at 3 Mile Island. No, the movie was released just a little bit before that, and it was the timing of it that drew people's attention. Now, I moved to Pennsylvania later in 1979 and ended up living in York, which if you go on a hill in York, you can actually see the cooling towers from 3 Mile Island. People think it's Harrisburg. It's really closer to York, where they make York peppermint patties.
Oh, that's why they taste so good.
Yes, because they're radiant. Radiant. Now, right now, some KMJ listeners going, why is this idiot babbling on? He knows nothing about nuclear power. And you would be right. You would be right. But the fact of the matter is, I will contend we know at this point all that we need to know, and that is that the state of California cannot meet its current power requirements for the future if Diablo Canyon was to go offline. And the fact that they've given it a 20-year extension, which the reason for 20 years is because that's the application process. That's the license renewal process. Now, I'm a firm believer that nuclear power plants should be heavily regulated.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part, I want the government out of most things. I definitely want them in the nuclear power regulation business.
Specifically, I want educated, apolitical engineering and physics experts waving the baton on this. I don't want a politician. I don't want an appointee. I don't want the attorney general's wife. I want somebody who has a string of letters after their name almost as long as their name.
Agreed.
By the way, the 3 Mile Island disaster, which I think that the timing of the movie was, you're exactly right. That's what got everybody so wigged out. The exposure for the people nearest 3 Mile Island, which they estimate there was 2 million people who hit this high level of exposure, was 1 millirem. For comparison's sake, you get 1.5 millirems of exposure when you get a dental x-ray. And the background radiation in the region, you have an annual exposure of 100 millirems. So the disaster at 3 Mile Island was really just an engineering failure that resulted in a lot of people behaving like children.
It was bad venting is what it was.
Yeah. The engineering that led to the Chernobyl disaster doesn't even exist in Russia anymore. I mean, that kind of thing literally cannot happen with the way that we build our nuclear power plants. The one thing about Diablo Canyon, and I've talked to folks who worked at Diablo Canyon. I talked to an engineer who was one of those people with a string of letters after their name that lend them a certain degree of credibility. The other guy was a maintenance guy, as in like he was a janitor at 3 Mile Island. Like he wasn't an engineer. He was a broom pusher. Janitors know things. Lest anybody ever be mistaken about who in the building knows all of the dirt, it's the janitor. They hear everything. They see everything. Who's dumping out your trash cans?
Yeah, there you go.
Nobody pays any attention when the janitor goes by. You keep talking. Both of these guys said I would have no problem living adjacent to the Diablo Canyon campus. Wouldn't even think twice about it. Neither of them were concerned about the seismic concerns in the area because you've got some fault lines that converge not far from there. And they say the way that this thing is built, the worst case scenario is it just stops producing power and you have to go in and clean up used material after the fact. But they said that unless the earth just opens up and swallows it, you're not going to have an exposure issue. To me, that was very reassuring. And I don't know why it was so reassuring to hear it from the janitor as well as the engineer. But both of these guys, there was no hesitation. Yeah, absolutely. I'd live right by it. Are you kidding?
Well, when I lived in Pennsylvania, I knew a guy who was a nuclear expert. He worked at 3 Mile Island at one point.
Okay.
By the way, the 3 Mile Island is on the Susquehanna River. There's 2 other nuclear power plants downstream of 3 Mile Island. But according to this guy, again, a nuclear expert, the amount of radiation that escaped is exactly what you just quoted. I remember him telling me that.
Yeah, I think the first time I saw that statistic, I actually think it was some kind of addendum to a Robert Heinlein essay.
Oh, don't get me going on Robert Heinlein. I love that dude. Keep going. Keep going.
Just reread Stranger in a Strange Land. Every 2 years I go back through it. But Heinlein was the one who made this point about it. And I think it's because he was writing this addendum to one of his novels like within weeks of what had happened at 3 Mile Island. And he just wanted to make this point because Heinlein had terrible health. He was in and out of medical procedures for like the entire final 2/3 of his life. And he made this point that in the process of getting prepped for open heart surgery, he had been exposed to something like 100,000 times more radiation than the people working at 3 Mile Island at the time of the flap. So when people talk about Diablo Canyon, I mean, I agree with you. We've got to have adults regulating. The oversight absolutely must be there. I think we should be building more facilities, and I actually think Diablo Canyon should be held up as an example of the engineering we should be evolving from.
Well, this is a highly charged, no pun intended, political issue. But if you want to talk about the cleanest power that's out there, it doesn't, historically in the United States of America, it doesn't get any cleaner than nuclear.
And I know that, and the jokes about the greenie weenies aside, because I have no problem with renewables. I really don't. If we can find a way to generate electricity that keeps the air clean and the water fresh, I'm on board. Solar and wind power aren't there yet. The technology hasn't evolved to where we need it to be yet. Nuclear power will absolutely provide us with a lot more of what we need in a much cleaner and more efficient, both in cost and in production terms, than anything that we have going right now. And steering in that direction makes sense, but there's this paranoia that I think is entirely rooted in pop culture. I don't think it's got anything to do with educated professionals offering a serious assessment.
Yeah, it has no historical background. But when I saw this headline this morning, I literally thought I was still dreaming. If somebody would have told me on Friday they're going to renew Diablo Canyon for another 20 years, I would have went, what are you smoking, dude? Best news I've heard from California in a long, long time.
I know this is a tricky question because I think that this is one of those times where you got to acknowledge the guy who got it right once in a while. You know, that old adage about even a stopped watch is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Is this a win for Gavin Newsom? Just took all the joy out of it, huh?
Oh, it's a low blow, man, on my first day.
KMJ News now.
It's 5:30 in Fresno. Good afternoon. I'm Joe Miller in the KMJ News Center. A man arrested Sunday following a hit and run in Atwater. Police there called at about 6 to Juniper Avenue and 1st Street regarding a hit and run without injury. Officers say they learned the suspect's location and headed towards the 1200 block of Elm Avenue. That's when they were able to catch up with the suspect, who police say is a convicted felon and known gang member. Following a search of his car, officers say they found guns, ammunition, and brass knuckles. He was then taken into custody, arrested, and booked into the Merced County Jail, where he faces charges of possession of a firearm without a serial number, felon in possession of a firearm, felon in possession of ammunition, and misdemeanor hit and run. Free agent quarterback Derek Carr heading to New Orleans. Fox's Eric Messersmith has the details.
The veteran QB agreeing to a 4-year deal worth up to $150 million, according to multiple reports. The deal includes a fully guaranteed $60 million signing bonus. Carr, who will turn 32 later this month, spent 9 seasons with the Raiders, throwing for 217 touchdowns and 99 interceptions. But he's coming off his worst season since his rookie year and was released by Vegas last month after losing his starting job late in the season. The Saints went 7-10 last year, with veteran Andy Dalton starting at quarterback most of the season. Dalton is set to be a free agent this offseason. I'm Eric Messersmith, Fox News.
Now the forecast from Fox 26 is Justin Willis.
We've got another atmospheric river headed our way later this week. Heavy rain expected on the valley floor Friday, along with rapid snowmelt in the Sierra, leading to a threat of flooding Thursday night through Saturday. And that's for the foothills and mountains below 8,000 feet. Until then, a little break from the rain for a couple of days. Mostly sunny with afternoon highs in the mid to upper 50s through Thursday, still below normal. Overnight lows are in the mid 30s. For KMJ, from the Fox 26 Weather Center, I'm Justin Willis.
With news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks, and always streaming at KMJNow.com. I'm Joe Miller for News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ.
And this traffic report is brought to you by Table Mountain Casino Resort. Tulare County, Highway 65, Avenue 24. Big Rig is stuck on the right-hand side. That's causing some problems there. In East Fresno, North Temperance at East Shields, a collision with no injuries. In the Hanford area, 14th Avenue and Fargo Avenue, there's been a traffic collision with no injuries. Here's another way to win this March at Table Mountain Casino Resort. You can win a stoneware set on Thursdays from 5 a.m. to midnight, earn 900 points playing with your rewards card. If you qualify, you win. Pick up your gift piece from the promotions counter while supplies last. Your next adventure is at Table Mountain Casino Resort. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
That cruiser is pure gold.
Right you are, Daddy-O. Chuck Chansey Gold. It's the $600,000 Cruisin' Camaro giveaway. There are winners every day, February 27th through April 28th, only at Chuck Chansey Gold Resort and Casino.
Oh, just me luck. With all the shenanigans this month, my water heater breaks down. Where's the lucky shamrock when I need one? I checked, and all the family in the village in the Central Valley recommends Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating. It's like finding a treasure, because Lee's Air has a special on water heaters, and I can save $100. That's a lot of cabbage. Lee's Air not only works on water heaters, but all plumbing from clogged drains, leaky faucets, sinks, and tubs, and more. So if you're in a stew like me, just call Lee's Air for all your plumbing needs. No 4-leaf clover needed. I called Lee's Air at 559-785-1212, and I got me water heater with $100 off. It's a pot of gold of savings. You can call Lee's Air too, 559-785-1212. I'm a-fixin' to celebrate by giving them a parade. How's the 17th? Check leesair.com. CLN number 635355.
Looking for a new dining and beverage experience? Come check out Genesis Bistro at the northeast corner of Cedar and Nice in Fresno, where the chef's cuisine, along with our mixologist's full cocktail and wine bar, are getting people talking. Open for lunch and dinner, make your next meal with friends or family at Genesis Bistro, a one-of-a-kind experience. Also a great place to host a special event or celebration meal. To reserve an event, call 559-314-8284. Are you a talented hairstylist looking for a change? Check out 8028 Salon at Cedar and Nice, where we have open stations available and a move-in special. 8028 Salon offers a unique location and atmosphere for you and your clients. Elegantly located next to Genesis Bistro, your clients will have full options to enjoy food and drinks during service. 8028 Salon only has a few open stations left. Give your talents as a stylist the location you deserve at 8028 Salon. Inquire today at the location, northeast corner of Cedar and Nice in Fresno.
This is KMJ's Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi and E. Curtis Johnson.
Your calls, your tweets, and your voice are welcome right now.
News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. This is the Afternoon Drive. Philip Teresi and I am E. Curtis Johnson. Now, we're almost to the end of the world here when myself and Philip start talking about sports. So Philip's plan, my plan, is to be here a long, long time. I'm going to tell you in advance, there will not be a lot of sports discussions.
No, sir. No, sir.
However, I am very excited about Mr. Carr and his new, shall we call it a promotion? His new gig, going to play for the Saints. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Now, I have a lot of respect for him and have some association with him.
Okay.
This is my claim to fame, so to speak. So I think it was 2013 when Fresno State won the Mountain West Conference. So as I recall, undefeated this season. Maybe they had one loss. So I was working for another broadcasting entity at the time. I will not mention their name. But we had the broadcast rights to the Fresno State games.
Okay.
And I was actually the technical director for the broadcast. I was the cheese or whatever that got the broadcast show to the couple of affiliates that carried it and to the local affiliate that was carrying the Fresno State games. That included going down after the game, at least for the local games, for the post-game wrap-ups. So there would be other reporters there, television, other radio stations.
Yeah.
Print media would come, and because it was such a hot season, and because the Bulldogs were having such a fantastic year, there was all kinds of people there. Everybody wanted a piece of the winner.
Oh yeah.
And one of the reasons why I've never been interested in sports is because most people that I've associated with who are really into sports are egotistical jerks, and they just kind of turn me off.
As far as the pro athletes.
Pro athletes. The pro athletes. I think they're a little too full of themselves. I don't see them as heroes. I don't even find them interesting because they're just stuck on themselves. That's just my opinion. I don't mean to offend anybody by that. I just tell that story to say that was the complete opposite of what I saw in the young man Derek Carr. Now, here's a guy who's having the season of his life. It's his last season, and they're winning like crazy. And, of course, they eventually win the Mountain West Conference. But after every single game, there were opportunities that were given to Derek where he could have bragged, and he never did. He always gave credit to, a lot of credit to Davante Adams.
Oh, yeah.
Who was, those two as a quarterback receiver combo, they were just dynamite. Or he would give credit to, his offensive line or his defensive line. He was so humble about the way that he talked about his performance. And I always saw that as such a tremendous contrast to, and I'm just going to say it, the Tom Brady's of the world. It was just it was night and day. And so I actually developed a personal interest in this guy just because of his humility.
It's interesting because I have not gotten to interact with either of the Carr brothers except for a fist bump and promoting something they were doing with Valley Children's Hospital at one point. They wouldn't know me from Adam. Nice guys, and the folks that I know talk about him that same way. The last time that I saw a quarterback and a receiver that had that kind of rapport was Montana Rice.
Yes.
And those two I actually got to meet and spend time with. They showed up and were doing this sports camp thing up in the hills above Santa Clara. 30, 40 years ago. And just completely down to earth. You would have had no idea that you had two of the most successful NFL players in the world, in the history of the league, running around with a bunch of kids playing shirts versus skins on the backside of a seminary somewhere. That's one of the reasons that I'm excited to see what's going on, because I'll probably never watch a game. I like that Derek Carr is getting another win.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though he's originally from Bakersfield, he obviously had his collegiate career here in Fresno. He's people think of him as one of us, the Valley. That's all a good thing. I would have hated to see him, and I don't want to sound like a Raider hater, but to die on the vine in Vegas. I'm so glad that he gets to play another year.
I think he's too good of a quarterback to have gotten left out entirely. 9 seasons. He's got the club record for yards passing. He's got the club record for touchdown passes. The problem is he never won a playoff game. And is that because they brought Devontae Adams into the fold too late to make that difference? Or is that just the Raiders being the Raiders?
Hard to say. Again, I can't speak much to sports, but I am a huge fan of Derek Carr, and so glad that he's landed on his feet. You know what? And what's he going to do with the Saints? I mean, that's not a team. I know enough about sports to know that's not a team that's mentioned as being high performers anytime soon.
None of them are until they are. Yeah, the number of times that I've had a team that I didn't think a thing of, like the Eagles, for instance, wasn't even on my radar until 2-3 years ago, when all of a sudden they were on everybody's radar. But it looks like the NFL Network is reporting the deal, 4 years worth $150 million with $100 million in total guarantees, and it puts him back with Dennis Allen, who is now the head coach of the Saints, and was with him. He started him as a rookie when he joined the Raiders in 2014. So I'm sure that's probably what tipped the decision over. Well, that and his other option was the Jets.
Not the Jets. Not the Jets. I'm sorry. I'm an anti-New York guy, sports or anything else.
So good news for Derek Carr. I'm interested to see what comes of it. I'm also interested to see how the Saints do, because this club needed a quarterback, and he's got the goods. If they can pair him up with the right line, with the right receivers, this could really be kind of and the guy's only 31 years old. That's the other thing. This isn't a Tom Brady situation where you got a guy who's my age going out and trying to get one more season out of it. He's a kid.
Yeah, he's still got some years under him.
Okay, so congratulations to Derek Carr. That's kind of a neat footnote on that story. Switching gears here for just a minute. This is super local. Mountain road shutdowns are continuing, and they're saying more snow coming in. The Sierra is going to be in a record-setting snowpack by the end of the week.
We need it. Every inch, every drop, every flake we need.
This is the snowiest season since 2010, 2011. It's still it's about 19 feet shy of the 1951 record. Apparently that was almost 70 feet of snow that they had. There's two things that I dampen my enthusiasm. One is the lack of storage.
When's the last time a dam was built in California? 1950s, something like that?
Yeah, the lack of water storage is inexcusable, and we're going to see so much of this get flushed out. Even with Newsom kind of pivoting on that Delta situation, a lot of this water is just going to go bye-bye. The other thing, and I'm curious to see the meteorologists pipe up on this, that Pineapple Express, the weather cycle that brought us that series of storms at the beginning of the year, and that was responsible for what we have and will see the rest of this week. If this warms up, are we going to see that snowpack melt off? And when you get into the burn scar areas, are we going to have a catastrophe with rock slides, mudslides, and flooding?
I guess it's always a possibility, but boy, I sure hope not.
We've got infrastructure in this state to move water. I just don't know if that's going to be enough. But I know that that's something that Nathan Magsig's been talking about in particular. He spent a lot of time up the hill. He's really been focused on the Shaver area and points north of that. But they're doing everything they can to get ready for more downpour, both snow and the rain that will turn that snow into a big old mess.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as we oftentimes have in California, it warms up real quick. And there's no gradual seepage into the aquifer, and you end up with mudslides.
Did you see that video of Eagle One airdropping that dude's medication last week?
I missed that.
Oh, this was, guys, if you head over to KMJnow.com, you can see this video. One of the fire chiefs up in the Shaver Lake area, Huntington Lake area, got word they had a resident snowed in, trapped, in need of medication, and this was like properly a life or death situation. He was able to connect with the pharmacy, get the medication, hand it off to the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, took it up in Eagle One, got over the guy's house, and there's this video of him. He had gone out in his yard and carved an X in the snow and was jumping up and down, screaming for joy as they dropped this bag from Walgreens on his house.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was really, if you guys want to see it, head over to KMJnow.com.
This traffic report is sponsored by Table Mountain Casino Resort. In Tulare County, Highway 65, Avenue 24, there's been a big rig stuck for a while on the right-hand side of the road. That's causing some difficulties. East Fresno, North Empress and East Shields. Earlier, there was a collision with no injuries. Cleanup is going on there. And in Hanford, 14th Avenue, Fargo Avenue, cleanup going on after a traffic collision with no injuries. The Fresno, Clovis Metro freeways are all moving along quite smoothly. Here's another way to win this March at Table Mountain Casino Resort. You can win a stoneware set. On Thursdays from 5 a.m. to midnight, earn 900 points playing with your rewards card. If you qualify, you win. Pick up your gift piece from the promotions counter while supplies last. With KMJ Traffic, I'm Ron McCary.
That cruiser is pure gold.
Right you are, Daddy-O. Chuck Chansey Gold. It's the $600,000 Cruisin' Camaro giveaway. There are winners every day, February 27th through April 28th, only at Chuck Chansey Gold Resort and Casino.
Mark your calendars and get ready. Daylight saving time returns on March 12th. This is Christina Mousson with Gar Bennett. March winds bring April showers and May's flowers, peaches, and plums. Trees and vines don't grow on an 8 to 5 work schedule, and there's no rewind in farming. One missed spray can affect production and profits, and resetting the clock doesn't erase the damage. You won't save any daylight moving clocks forward, but you don't need to lose sleep. Our PCAs and CAMs are experts at testing, timing, treating, and tackling tough problems. They design programs that deliver results and return quality fruit and great yields. Grow with Gar Bennett, the growing experts, for the best water, irrigation, nutrition, regulatory, and crop care advice and products at 800-696-6108 and online at garbennett.com. Gar Bennett, we help growers feed the world at 800-696-6108 and online at garbennett.com.
I know exactly how you feel. You're sitting there at the gas pump wondering, am I ever going to have a regular meal again? Because you're cutting out all the good food because you can't afford the gas, right? Wait until you see your next PG&E bill. No more meals out and no more hair because you're going to be pulling that out as well, too. Do what I did. Planet Solar. When you have a solar system put in by Planet Solar, you literally lock in your energy price forever. Don't you wish it could be that way at the gas pump? Sorry, but you can't do that there. But you can do it for your home with Planet Solar, and it all began for them right here in Central California. One of the things I really liked about these guys is their financing. Don't let the rate hike scare you away from going with Planet Solar. And they are really quick and good and efficient on installation, and they have become masters at putting together a complete solar package with a solar battery. So you've got the juice when PG&E says, no, you don't need it because we're trying to conserve to save the world. Click planetsolar.com. Do that. Call them at 228-9245.
Safety and security across Central Valley farms and ranches is a high priority. Rocky Pipkin here for the Pipkin Detective Agency. At PDA, we've developed a security management strategy to combat theft, contamination, cybercrime, injured persons, and potential litigation. All it takes is an opportunity for a breach to happen. Our team is trained to assess your facility and operations and provide you with preventative measures. If you are experiencing issues on your farm or ranch, it's time to go Pipkin. We have a variety of checkpoints that are used to protect you and your investment: security cameras, targeted lighting, security and warning signs, transport security, business computer security, and CPR certifications. PDA has the knowledge, technology, and power to gain control of your farm or ranch. Contact us for a no-cost assessment. Call Pipkin Detective Agency at 622-8889. That's 622-8889. When issues arise on your farm or ranch, it's time to go Pipkin. Serving the Valley since 1987.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Haley, quote, "Navage is the best thing I bought. I love it. My nose feels so clear now and I can breathe. I've been struggling with a stuffy nose for weeks. I bought Navage and it's amazing." Or this one, "I use Navage every night, could not imagine life without it. I have 5 cats and before I found Navage, I was a clogged mess. Now I breathe so much better," unquote. Those are 2 of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Miss one of your favorite KMJ shows? Listen anytime, anywhere to our podcast. Frosky and Musan, Ray Appleton, The Afternoon Drive, Mark Levin, and many more. Get KMJ wherever you get your podcasts, and they're always available at KMJNow.com.
Everything that happens in Fresno's got to run the gauntlet at KMJ. It is such a blessing for you all to have what you have. It's been 100 years of communicating with your community. There's nothing like that for 1,000 miles.
And so ends our broadcast day.
News Talk 580 and 105.9 KMJ. This is the Afternoon Drive with Philip Teresi. I'm E. Curtis Johnson. We made it. Our first day together.
Not bad.
Not bad. Nobody lost a limb or an eye.
So you are coming back tomorrow?
I'm definitely coming back tomorrow. Unless my key card suddenly doesn't work.
Did they get you one?
Yes, they gave me a key card.
Excellent. You never know. Just things take time. It's a corporation.
Yeah, I can get in the building. I have a desk.
This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad that we were able to make this happen. And thank you to Blake Taylor and Patty Hickson for taking that leap and bringing E. Curtis in, because this is, in my opinion, just an incredible opportunity for KMJ and for me to have a partner that I can work with and enjoy working with.
Well, thank you, and I'm excited to work with a friend.
And we got just a minute here, but I wanted to share this with you, a press release from the Fresno County Sheriff's Office. Tony Body, PIO, reporting last Friday, convicted felon and future Rhodes Scholar Christian Ward showed up to the courthouse to take care of some legal matters he had on the calendar while trying to pass through the security screening area. They threw his handbag, his briefcase, I suppose, on the X-ray machine. Thanks to the X-ray machine, 25-year-old Christian Ward has been arrested for being a felon in possession of a firearm and methamphetamine.
Oh!
He put his bag on the X-ray scanner, which immediately showed the pistol and the bag of dope.
Right in plain view, black and white.
Congratulations on being the dumbest criminal to visit Fresno County, Mr. Ward. All right. That is going to do it for us today. It's a lot of fun. Again, glad you're here. Thank you for taking the job.
My pleasure. Thank you to Blake and Patty and everybody at Cumulus for offering it. I was thrilled to accept.
Don't forget, guys, 100th anniversary documentary airs on Valley PBS March 30th, 7 p.m. Set your DVRs. March 30th, 7 p.m. The great one, Mark Levin, is on the way. Before that, we'll hear from the Fox News team and our friend at the Valley's Legends and Legacies. And E. Curtis Johnson and I will be back tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock for the Tuesday installment of Your Afternoon Drive. Levin is next. Don't move.
missed part of the show? Get the Afternoon Drive